The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, Earnestly podcast here coming to you on a Thursday night here in humid South Florida. It's the annual Earnestly Speaking NFL Over on the Win Total podcast every year. One of my two favorite podcasts of the year. And of course, every year we do it with our guys here. Zack, Degenerate, of course. Zack, what's up?
Not much, man. I feel like I'm going to do pretty good after listening to you nutbags talk about one team already.
And, of course, our old friend Krizmanic. Kris, what's up?
Alrighty, what's going on, guys? Just hoping for a full NFL season. It's all we can pray for.
And that's the thing, too. Also, when I initially was, because every year we do this around the same time. And I actually wanted to do it next week because it was closer to the season, but our good friend here, Zack, is getting married next week. So he's going to Vegas, so he won't be able to do it. So we had to get it in now before the season starts. Zack's become an honest man. Good job, Zack.
Thank you.
Real quick, and maybe we'll spend about 5 minutes on this real quick. Your thoughts on the NBA protest that happened yesterday? They agreed to come back to play, to continue to play basketball, play in the playoffs, all that. Just the whole thing surrounding the last couple of days. What are you guys' thoughts on it?
Well, I certainly see why Milwaukee took the protest.
Yeah.
If they wouldn't have, I couldn't imagine the rest of the NBA taking an entire day off. But if all of these players want to just say, you know what, we're protesting the rest of the season because of this, I would rather see the NBA owners bring in replacement players.
You can.
I'm all for you exercising your political beliefs, and I'm right there on the same side of those views. But goddamn, man, I want to watch some sports. Can we have some sports again?
And not only that,
I watch a basketball game.
Right. And not only that, because I'm with you too, Zack, on that. But I do think also when you have an NBA that's already been flexible with allowing you to put Black Lives Matter on the court, allowing you to have messages on the court, allowing you to have a platform to speak before and after games and during games too. You're kind of almost doing the service to yourself. There's a lot of conservative folks who I talk to in private that, were praying that the NBA cancel a year because they were tired of hearing all the messages. And that's how I kept saying, well, listen, keep going with it, keep playing, because, by you canceling the games, you actually are hurting the message, really, to be honest with you. In my opinion.
You're giving power to all the racists that are happy,
right.
That are agitated right now. I'm not watching the NBA because there's BLM on the court. Like, who cares, man?
Okay. Yeah. And that's a whole other, can of worms, of course, the whole BLM thing and where that money goes and who's funding that and all that. We get to another day for that one. But, Kris, what was your thoughts on all this that happened? It's been a wacky week.
I mean, I think it was necessary. I mean, the whole point of them coming back was to be able to use this platform. So it was nice of them to do that. I think at the end of the day, the cooler heads prevailed and they realized that they just invested too much into the whole bubble, and for it to work and be as successful as it is, they had to continue going with it. Like, you can't just cancel everything now. And you're still going to be able to promote your message and all that. So the right thing happened, and I'm happy for it. But
that's the thing too. Also, once you sit down and start thinking about rational instead of emotional, because I get the emotional part of it too. You want to lash back and you're pissed off, and even LeBron, what he said on his social media yesterday, obviously we all felt that. But at the same time, we need to make, if you're going to be effective in change, you need to make rational decisions, not emotional ones. That's all. And I just got a alert that Patrick Mahomes wants to change also too, which is funny because we're talking about the NFL right now and the over-unders. I'll be honest with you, I feel so out of the loop with the NFL right now because of obviously no preseason. You have camp obviously going on, but it's obviously there's a lot of touch and go with that because of COVID-19 or all whatnot, and because of COVID-19 in general. It's hard. It's been hard to really follow everything that's on in the NFL, at least on my end. So I'm kind of glad we were able to do this a little bit. So, what was your thoughts on all this that happened? I mean, the whole protest thing?
I think it was necessary. I mean, the whole point of them coming back was to be able to use this platform. So it was nice of them to do that. I think at the end of the day, the cooler heads prevailed and they realized that they just invested too much into the whole bubble, and for it to work and be as successful as it is, they had to continue going with it. Like, you can't just cancel everything now.
Every year we do this. Every year we do over-unders, win totals for each team. We go over from A through W, which is, of course, the Washington football team, formerly Redskins, Zack's team. Zack, how rare is that be for you this year, having the Washington football team for 1 year, at least, as your name?
They've got to fix that before the season starts.
How hard is it just to get a team name? It could not be that hard, really.
Oh,
I've got to believe they fix that before the season starts.
I don't think they do. I think they'll run definitely at least for a good portion of the year.
Oh,
They may announce a new name for next year, but
Is he just like the progressive owner going with the Euro model, like football club, like the soccer teams do? Like, is he just
supposedly, and Zach and
that guy?
Zach, we spoke about this back in July or something. Was there a lawyer in that area that brought up all the names, possible names?
Yeah.
And we're talking about
he brought up a boatload of them, yeah.
So he bought up Radkin. Like, he bought out everything.
Yeah.
You could pay this guy.
I mean, Daniel Snyder has more money than God. You think you did this fucking cash out, dude. Let's do it. Anyway, let's get to the teams here. I'm using OddsShark as our reference point for the win totals as of right now. And first team on the list is the Arizona Cardinals. Their over-under win total is 7.5. Last year they actually was also their win total going to the year as well, which is weird, but whatever. Last year they finished the year. Give me 1 second. This thing is kind of weird. There we go. Last year the Arizona Cardinals finished, I believe, was it 6? What's on my computer? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Wow, this is crazy. Okay. Anyway, 7.5. Okay, the number 7.5 wins right now. Zach, go first. What's your thoughts on the Cardinals? Kyler Murray, second year. What do you think?
I like the kid, but I don't care about the addition of Hopkins. I don't see them as having a real run game. As long as you're going to play the offense, an air raid offense, you make it a one-sided defense. You make it easy to drop a defense against the Arizona Cardinals. I never see them winning more than 5 or 6 games as long as this is the system they put on the football field. So I take the under all day.
Weren't they last year one of our teams that we thought that couldn't go 0-16 because of the schedule and the mess going into it, at least the mess they perceived to have going through the year? Remember that?
Yeah. Listen, the kid is good enough to win 5 or 6 games every year in the NFL. But I don't think he is the kind of transitional talent where he can lead a team to 9, 10, 11 wins in a season. I just don't see it.
So you're going under on this one, right?
Oh, yes, under.
Okay. By the way, their record last year was 5-10-1 for the record. Okay. Kris, go ahead.
I want to hear what your thoughts are first.
I'm going under. This is a gut check feeling. I can see once. I think 7-9 is your ceiling. To be honest with you, tough conference as it is. Now, let's be real too. Also, because of the virus and will likely be played most of the season, if not all the entire season, without crowds and stuff. That could change certain things here. So I'm not going to sit there and feel confident in this ability to think this is going to happen. But as a football team, I always view this team as a 7-win team tops. 8 if you're lucky. Just because of the division they play in. And the Rams should still be somewhat solid. They're not going to be great, but they're still a 9-win team. San Francisco is the NFC champion right now. Will they fall back to earth? Who knows? Of course, the Seattle Seahawks are amazing. Russell Wilson, come on now. They guarantee 8+ wins out of the gate because of him. So somebody's got to be the seller team right now. And the Cardinals are still the best candidate of 4 teams in the division, in my opinion. So I'm going to go under.
It's so funny because, you see how well Kenyon Drake came in and meshed with the offense. They go and get DeAndre Hopkins. Their draft was fantastic. They went best player available all the way down the line. And I'm so bare on them. I think they're going to be terrible. I don't think they'll do better than last year. I think 5-11, is going to be where they're going to be at. I think Kyler Murray is one of those guys that have peaked. He's never going to be better than that. Granted, he's not a bad quarterback.
Right.
But I just don't see him improving more than what he is. Where you see he's just gonna be super inconsistent. His height, is always gonna be an issue. Granted, guys have transcended that height thing, but I just don't see that team meshing. I don't know if Cliff Kingsbury has shown that he's the right coach. Their defense is not that great. They didn't put anyone opposite Chandler Jones to really push him over the edge. At least their defense doesn't have something that they're known for. They don't have a niche. They don't have an identity. The whole team itself is doesn't have an identity except for just being this big play team. So I just don't see how they're going to get any better whatsoever. So I'm real low on them.
And there's more tape on Murray now. Now there's tape. Teams have a chance to adjust him now. So there you go. All right, next team here we have the Atlanta Falcons. Last year went 7-9. Their over-runner is as well 7.5 wins this year. Worth noting, last year they started the year 1-7, a disaster, and then probably the biggest spoiler of the entire league last year at the second half of the season. I'm probably gonna get shit for doing this again, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna take the over. They should get at least 8 wins this year with that talent, with Matt Ryan, with their talent receiving core. They should at least get 8 wins. Will they get 8 wins? We'll see how bipolar they are this year. But 8 wins should be at least the floor for them right now. I went over. Zach?
No, I think 8 wins is about as much as you could ask for them to get. When you factor in that division with the Saints, with Tampa Bay, now that they have Tom Brady, to get 8 wins, I think would be an accomplishment with that defense. You can have all the offense in the world, but if your defense gives up more points than you score, it doesn't matter. So this is, again, one of those teams I'm going to take the under on.
Ooh. Okay. Kris?
I'm over. I think their floor is 8 wins. I think you can see that, they got rid of Steve Sarkisian and they brought back Dirk Cutter, who had previous experience there in Atlanta, and they didn't miss a beat on offense. Granted, they still had their red zone issues, which I hope they're going to figure out, maybe keeping Julio Jones in the field and within the 5-yard line, you would think. So, I mean, they finished so good on offense, and you can just tell, they fought for their coach rallying back, because usually vet-heavy teams that have Super Bowl aspirations like that just start off so shitty will kind of just throw in the towel. So for them to bounce back, I feel like they're going to give this one last shot. And I think they're going to do good. I mean, Carolina's god-awful. Tampa Bay, it's all new players. The whole team and it's a new face to it.
New Orleans can be up and down.
They're old, man. Their team is very erratic. So, granted, they're the best of the bunch, but I feel like Atlanta's one of those teams that, even at their worst case, I love them at 8 wins. Best case, I could definitely see them winning 10, 11 games. Absolutely.
Right. And the thing is, too, that the 1-7 start last year, it wasn't like they were getting blown out every single game. They were games that just got unlucky, and then they figure out some of those problems second half of the year, and they go, 6-2 rest of the year? I mean, so which team is more realistic, a 6-2 team, 1-7 team? I think they were closer to the 6-2 team than they are to 1-7, honestly.
Well, just think, you got a guy like Todd Gurley who's coming in with a chip on his shoulder, coming back home to the state of Georgia. He's going to be ready to run through that division. I really like the way things work.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right. The Baltimore Ravens, one of the biggest shocks of the year last year. Last year, they were 14-2, best record in the league. This year, the over-under is 11.5 wins. I feel like this should be they got me. I'm going to go under, but I think they'll be still really good. I think they'll be more close to 11-5 team. I just think 11.5 wins is a lot of wins there, man. It's a lot of wins. I don't know. It's more to Lamar Jackson. It's a vibe I'm getting. Zach?
Yeah, you know what they get with more here's what they get with more tape with Lamar Jackson. More highlights. That's what they get. 12 wins would be the basement to this team. The only team in the league that'll have a shot at a better record will be Kansas City.
Okay, so you're going over.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Mine's a slight under.
So I've seen every publication out there, and the worst record anybody has given them is 12-4. That's the worst.
Really?
That anyone has given them. Yeah. Oh, everyone. Dude, Colin Coward had them at 16-0. Like, everyone thinks they're going to be really good. Like, it's unbelievable. And to me, I don't get how, like, people just think, like, they see this huge leap from year one to year two and think, oh, yeah, so who's going to make the same exponential leap in year three? And no, some guys just plateau. Like, guys like Mike Vick, yeah, they hit that next level, and then, the league kind of catches up to them. I'm saying they're gonna be a very good team. Don't get me wrong.
So you're going over?
But I kind of in the same boat as you. Like, I like them at 11-5 or 12-4, but I'm leaning more towards it. I feel like the whole division as a total got so much better this year that I could easily see them losing a lot more games. So I'm under with you.
Yeah. Same.
Like, everyone's looking at all these acquisitions they made, and I'm like, I'm not big on Calais Campbell going into, like, year trillion. Like, I mean, shit, he was almost washed up in Arizona and had, like, this bounce back in Jacksonville. Like, you think he's going to have a third bounce back somewhere? Like, no.
Odds are probably won't.
Kris,
Exactly.
please, one question. I just have one question. I'm confused. So you're down on a team because you think the quarterback will have plateaued at winning MVP. Like, not falling off a cliff, but plateau. So he's going to maintain an MVP level, and you're going to think the team's going to get worse.
You think Big Ben's going to be out for the entire season after 2 plays in week 1? You think that the Browns are going to bounce back by even making more free agent moves? The Bengals are going to be better than 2-14. Like, the rest of the division is going to catch up. They're going to have easy games.
Yeah.
They don't need to have easy games. They just have to win games. So
last year, that was 6 division games where you were like, all right, we don't have to watch too much tape. Like, we can take it easy these weeks.
You mean they sucked Pittsburgh last year, right?
They don't win by 14. They win by 3 or 4. But they're the best team in that division.
Yeah, and I think this from a betting perspective, I think that the better odds of them are going to get closer to 11 wins and closer to 12 wins. I think that's more my argument. I think those would be great. It's very possible. It's very possible they could be better overall, even in the playoffs, while winning. You made this point last year with the Chicago Bears last year at the time, Zach. Remember this on the podcast, where you said you could see Bears being actually a better team, but losing more games in comparison to the year before that. Same thing with the Ravens.
I didn't say that. I did not say the Bears were better last year. No. I said last year.
It's on record, buddy.
Those Bears kept losing games was because of that coach.
No. I'm saying I'm saying when we did
a team can improve without having a better record.
No, what I'm saying is that when we did this show last year, Zach, before last season started, based on the year before that, what other results. The Bears were a playoff team. Remember, they won. I think won the division that year, and they hosted a home playoff game against Philadelphia. And you said you could see a situation where they're actually a better team, but will lose a couple more games than they did the year before that. That's kind of the same situation with the Ravens I see. That's all. So anyway, that's the next game. Buffalo Bills. How about this? The Buffalo Bills have made a playoff 2 last 3 years. How amazing is that? Last year they were 10-6. Yeah, that's hold on. My thing went up for a second. 10-6. Over this year is at 9 wins. I'm gonna go over. I mean, they're gonna be they should, even with an average Josh Allen year, should be at least 10-6 this year. I mean, really. I guess the division's weaker, obviously by virtue of New England not having Brady and some of those players, the pieces they missed. But I think they'll at least win 10 games. Zach?
All right. So, you know how people got rich off of Amazon stock?
Mm-hmm.
And people got rich off of Tesla. Well, this is how you get rich. you bet the over on the Bills.
Mhm.
The Bills are the best team in that division. I mean, top to bottom, roster-wise, they are the best team in the AFC East, and it's not even close anymore. As soon as you strip Tom Brady off the Patriots, you have three teams that are average at best to bottom feeders. I will put money that the Bills will win at least 11 games this season. They win the AFC East,
Mhm.
and they win at least 11 games.
Kris?
That's a big risk when you have such a running heavy quarterback like Josh Allen, who, when those guys take off all the time, they're one hit away from being out for the season. This one is a struggle for me.
Kris,
because even though
dropping back to make a throw is one hit away from being out for the season.
no, this is true. But you got to remember, even if they're the best team in the AFC East, doesn't mean the record, because by far the AFC East is the worst division of all of the AFC. It's not even close.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's not even up for debate. It is by far the worst division.
I think there's a little bit of a debate.
I'm pretty sure it's up for worst division in all of football, to be honest with you.
The AFC South is pretty bad, too.
Well, no, hold on. AFC South, the Texans was always going to have 10 wins a year because of the quarterback. The Colts are competitive, yes. Jacksonville, that could be what's the fourth team in that division? Jacksonville and then Tennessee.
Who went to the AFC Championship last year.
Remember the fourth team.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My brain's dead. I have kids.
Let me tell you something. Jacksonville is probably better than the Jets or Miami.
Wow, that's a big one.
No.
That's a
No.
funny because they have we'll get there in a second. They have the lowest over-under number here on the board.
Yes, but
anyway,
Buffalo. I'm going push like 9-7 is a good number for them. That could win the AFC. I wouldn't be shocked if the Patriots and Buffalo both went 9-7.
I think more closer to 10-6. That's what I'm saying. I think they're forced 10 wins.
I just don't see Josh Allen fumbling less and completing more passes, even with better receivers in fold. I don't see them taking this next step. I see them staying exactly where they are, and that's good enough to win the AFC East, but I just don't see them taking this like gargantuan step up. To me,
the next step for them would be in the 11 and 12 win range. And
being a real contender, and I don't see it.
I just think that the floor is
They're
10.
right there. They added pieces on offense and defense to get to 12 wins this season.
No, I think they feast on a weak division.
All right, next team here. Got to count on the Panthers here, who last year were pretty bad. 5-11. Cam Newton missed most of the year. He's now gone. Teddy Bridgewater's new quarterback. Their over-under is at 5.5 wins in the very, I guess, tough NFC South. I guess maybe tough still. Who knows? Like I said, same thing with the Cardinals. You gotta have a team that's gonna be on the cellar. I'm gonna go under on this one. It's a rebuilding year for the Panthers. I think I'm happy for Teddy Bridgewater to have a job again and all that, but you ask for a lot right now too. In that division with the Bucs, who have Tom Brady and a slew of weapons. The Saints are still going to be pretty solid. The Falcons, I think, will be better than they were last year. So yeah, Carolina, it's got to be an under. I see 5-11 a year. Zach?
Oh, I agree with you. They're probably going to be the bottom team in the division, but I'll take 6 wins. I think they get 6 wins. Teddy Bridgewater is at least better than what they had last year at quarterback play. And if you can get that, you should be able to win 6 games.
I am. They could be up there with the worst team in all of the NFL. You got a first-time NFL head coach who was not like the most elite college coach. An offensive coordinator who spent 1 year in the college ranks at that position to come in just because his offense was one of the best of all time. He was only offensive coordinator for 1 year in college.
You got this guy's record wrong. This guy's one of the best college coaches there has been in the last 5 years.
He was good in bad programs.
As Matt Rule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He has done wonders everywhere he went.
Yeah, but rebuilding a Baylor program and making Temple good again is not the same as spearheading a Power 5 powerhouse. It's not the same.
Yeah, he
so for him to come into the pros,
he won in a Power 5 conference with Baylor. He knocked the snots out of Texas.
Yeah, Art Browse had done that before, and he was still kind of riding that wave too. So for that coaching staff to be that green, come into a team that's with the new quarterback, just with the off season that's not as cohesive as you would want it to be with no preseason. Maybe you're just doing inter-team scrimmages. They're probably by metric, the second worst defense in the league. Probably was the worst defense. Granted, they spent every draft pick on defense, which was impressive to me. That a team could actually just spend every single draft pick on defense. But I just don't see them. No, not at all. I love Teddy Bridgewater. He's going to establish himself as a starting caliber quarterback. But just all that making in an odd off season as this one, I don't see working at all. They're going to be really bad.
Matt Rule got a 6-year contract, right? Was it 5-6 years? One or two?
I think it was 7. It was
something really big. Contract. So what they're saying is that they're in for a long haul. This is the rebuild.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
I understand you guys thinking Carolina's going to be god awful because you're up on Atlanta and you have to be up on New Orleans and Tampa Bay. So
obviously, yeah.
I understand why you think they're going to be awful. I'm just telling you, you're wrong. It's
possible. It is Zach. It is possible they could be a competitive 5-11 team. That is possible to be that. A team that are in games and fight hard, but just can't get the win because the teams are better than they are.
Or they could be a competitive 6-10 team, like I predict.
Well, right now we're just drawing straws at this point. I'm going to 5-11 next year. You have 6-10, so we're in the same boat, but they have points throwing us off.
I know.
So all right, next. Go ahead, Chris.
It's just a very super inexperienced coaching staff will lose you games in the NFL.
Right, I'm with you.
So
all right, next team here, the Chicago Bears. Their over/under is 8.5 wins. Last year they went 8-8, a disappointing year for them, considering they went to the playoffs the year before that and were one of the teams that people talk about possibly being in the Super Bowl picture. So you got Nick Foles, right? You got Nick Foles quarterback, and you got obviously that scrub Trubisky fighting for a job. What is the update on that one? Is Trubisky still the starter, or is it wide open?
I mean, it's an open competition.
Okay. Yeah. Under again. That's simple. Under again. Because, again, the same problem with Carolina. You have teams in the division that's better than they are. Green Bay still has Aaron Rodgers, who may not be great as he used to be, but he's still good enough. Obviously, Minnesota is solid, and, and Detroit's always kind of pesky at times. So, yeah. Chicago, 7, 9, 8, and 8 is to me, their ceiling. Under. Zach.
Give me Chicago. Give me 9. Give me 10 wins. This is one of the bounce back teams. I will actually predict it's going to be Mitch Trubisky all season. But when you look
I wouldn't be shocked by that.
No,
they did nothing to help Aaron Rodgers in the draft. They did nothing to help Aaron Rodgers in free agency. Minnesota lost players. They traded one of their key assets on offense. So they're going to change the way they play offense. And Detroit, good Lord, you got Matt Patricia. You're fucked. You're going to be at the bottom no matter what. So if there's one team that benefited the most during what everyone else in their division did, it's Chicago.
Kris?
It's so tough for me because it's one of those teams that, Chicago and the Rams are literally in the same position.
I agree.
They were super successful one year. They had a horrific, just regressive season the year after, but they kept a majority of their core. Like, most of that defense is still there. All the core players are still there. There was no big move other than bringing Nick Foles in, which you're hoping deep down inside just lights a fire in Mitch Trubisky, but you're not mad if he just takes over because he's still young enough to give you like 5 prime years. But it's like, what do both those teams are saying? But like, what do they do? And I'm just, it's so hard because if one of these guys actually like step up and like Allen Robinson turns into a number 1 receiver, and you got and Matt Nagy looks like a genius again, and the kicker actually makes kicks, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, Green Bay kind of regresses from like the weakest 13-3 team of all time, and Minnesota still has Kirk Cousins, and Detroit, Matt Patricia. He's a great recruiter because he's bringing in all the fucking old Patriots players, but he's not the leader like you need in the pros. But oh man, this is probably the hardest over under out of all of them.
You're gonna go under. Come on, let's just do it.
You want to say like they're gonna bounce back because defensive run game just always hold up. You just think like, man,
you're scared. I know. Make a vote, Trump or Biden. Come on, let's go.
They're going under. They're going under. Not there. I'm going under. Barely. 7-9, 8-8. They're going under though.
Vote, man.
I don't see them winning 9.
I don't think they're off the cliff. But now, if Trubisky shows more signs of being more good than bad, then this is a 9-10 win team. That's simple. Because they're great. They're great on defense, obviously.
I think either one of them is competent.
What, Zach?
Here's my question to you two guys: Was Nick Foles? Would you have considered Nick Foles a better quarterback than either one of the quarterbacks that Chicago had last year? Going into the season last year, would you have considered Nick Foles starting for Jacksonville to be better than what Chicago had?
You can't think that when Trubisky just went 12-4 the season prior, and he's a young guy, and that's one of those things where you just assume young guys keep getting better. That's not the case. They don't always get better. So
I'm just
but
what you thought of the quarterbacks from last year for Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're always going to think that Trubisky, even if he stays the same, like, they're not going to fall off a cliff like that.
Yeah, that's always to the young guy first.
Yeah, everyone always thinks the young guy's always going to improve. It's not going to happen. Yeah. That's not the case. But you bringing in a savvy vet, but the greatest thing about Nick Foles is not only is he going to push him for a starting job, he's going to be a team player and take the backup role if Trubisky beats him out and embrace that and try to help him throughout the season and not be that dude. I kind of feel like Ryan Fitzpatrick's a guy that's always like, "Get me back in, coach. I can get us back." And he's kind of like I don't know if he's the best backup guy, but like Nick Foles is a guy like he just accepts his role, and if he gets hurt, I'm ready to go. Comes right in, doesn't miss a beat. But he's not going to sit there in a coach's ear saying to put me back in if Trubisky has one bad play.
All right.
So you sure you don't want to change your pick on Chicago?
No, I'm so good with like 7-9, 8-8. Like they're going to be a good team. Don't get me wrong, but
it'll be competitive,
yeah.
Of course. All right, next team here. And this is Kris's team, of course, the Cincinnati Bengals, who last year were the worst team in football at 2-14. Of course, number 1 pick, drafted Joe Burrow from LSU. The over-under this year is 5.5 wins. This is easy. Take the under. Maybe they'd be better than last year, but I mean, 4-12, maybe 5-11, but that's about it for me, really. Kris, you go first this one since you're the Bengals fan.
Oh, put all the money on the over. This is the easiest one here.
Of course,
let me tell you something. This is the one thing I had to look at. They did have one of the best free agents classes in this offseason. You get Von Bell, great free safety. You get DJ Reader from the Houston Texans.
Keep talking in the meantime. Just keep talking.
Now, the one bad thing is they signed Trey Waynes, and he got hurt immediately. But you have a healthy A.J. Green return who didn't play a single game last year. Their top left tackle they drafted last year, who was the top left tackle in the draft, missed the whole season last year. He's back and trained with Joe Staley all summer long. So now you shore up what was a horrific offensive line. You hope and pray John Ross stays healthy. Joe Mixon's going into his contract season where he wants to get paid, so you know he's going to be super motivated. That team has a lot more weapons than people realize, and throwing a guy like Joe Burrow in with a nice offensive-minded head coach like Zack Taylor and their defense getting a bunch of new faces and fresh blood in there, and them drafting, defense heavy in the mid to late rounds, they're going to improve. They're going to be a 7, 8, 9 win team, depending on if Joe Burrow is that transcendent. If he's that, you gotta remember they had so many guys. They lost so many guys before the year last year that it was bound to be a terrible year. But when you bring everyone back like that, it makes sense.
That's a big jump, though.
I'm not gonna compare it to like the Spurs losing David Robinson and getting the number 1 overall pick and getting Tim Duncan and just being great again. But they're going to make that kind of like big leap because of how much they did lose last year and not get a chance to see it. It's a very hungry young team that has mixed in some vet leadership and guys that want to prove something.
Zack, go ahead, Zack. I want to hear you.
I'm so thankful I get to be the killjoy here because I don't know if you could ever say there's a team you could look at their roster, look at their schedule, and go, wow, they have a chance to be one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in football in back-to-back seasons. And that's exactly what Cincinnati is. Cincinnati is one of the worst teams in football. All I heard from Kris was, this guy's coming back from injury. This guy's coming back from injury. This guy's coming back from injury. Oh, this guy? He's coming back from injury. This team is known as glass because I don't know if there's a single player in the skill position category that has ever played a full season in the NFL that's on Cincinnati's roster. Just that is how brittle those guys are. But on a high note, I believe they will actually win more games than they won last year and still finish with the number 1 pick in the draft.
4-12?
3-13.
Damn.
Listen, for all kidding aside, I feel so bad, and I told you this at work. I feel so bad for any rookie quarterback coming into the league this year or next year because they have basically had their NFL careers completely screwed over. You're not getting a true offseason. You're being banned and prohibited from working with your wide receivers on your own free time. There's just no way for a rookie quarterback to succeed in the NFL right now. And I feel bad for that kid, Joe Burrow, because I loved what he did last year, and I love his attitude.
The best quarterback season you've ever seen, probably in college football.
Ever.
Oh,
it's hands down. It's not even debatable.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, next. Go ahead. Okay. All right, next one here.
Michael Vick season.
They didn't win the championship.
Just pillar to post, man, dominance. Pillar to post. And the schedule too, they were playing like, the elite every almost every week.
Yes.
Beat Texas week 2.
I know.
So all right, next team here. Cleveland Browns. Last year finished 6-10. Disappointing campaign, considering all the hype, coming to the season. Fired their coach, of course, Freddie Kitchens, the Soup Kitchen. Who's the new coach now?
Kevin Stefanski.
That's right, the Minnesota assistant. Their over this year is now 8.5. A lot of folks, Vegas still thinks they're going to be decent. This is tough. their talent alone should get them over. I mean, they had the wrong coach in place, in my opinion. So, I'm going to go over here. I think they'll go 9-7 at least. This on talent alone. They got to go 9-7. I mean, this will be Baker Mayfield's third year. Which Baker is real? The first year, the second year, or this one? Maybe I think he'd be closer to the first year. So I'll go over here 9-7. Zach.
Wow, I was starting to think you were taking the under on every team just because you don't expect the season to finish. So
we're doing this show assuming we get all 16 games.
It sure doesn't seem like it with you taking the under like a chicken.
Well, under who? I said the over this one. Wait.
Yeah, I know. I feel like this is the first time.
No, I had the over Atlanta. I had the over in Buffalo. I had the yeah, that's it. Not the Browns.
Okay. So I'm with you. I like the over in this game, and I believe it has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with Baker Mayfield. I think this team will become even more run dominant this season. When you think about the type of offensive coordinator that just became a head coach, and he leaned heavy on Dalvin Cook last year when you had that wide receiver core and that kind of quarterback, and you think he's going to trust Baker Mayfield? Oh, God, no. This is going to be a running team and a defensive team. But I think they win 10 games. I really do.
Wouldn't shock me at all. Wouldn't shock me with all that talent and the right coach in place. So, yeah. Kris.
I see them taking Pittsburgh's spot like towards the top of the division. They're definitely going to be up there. There's definitely an over here. So last year they made the wrong free agent signings, like getting these splashy big name players and all these egos for a non-respected coach in Freddie Kitchens. So this year they built from the trenches to get Jack Conklin, shore up the offensive line, and they draft a tackle and sign one in free agency. They signed the best tight end, who's also, a great blocker and receiver in Austin Hooper. So they got Baker what he really needed. He didn't need Odell. He needed these guys to make him successful again. And you still have Myles Garrett that wants to prove a point and remind people that he's actually just an amazing player, not a dude just smacked some guy upside the head with a helmet. And it makes for good. I see Pittsburgh regressing in the division and Cleveland taking the next step up. They're not going to surpass Baltimore, but they'll be close. And I feel like, now granted, Stefanski's a new head coach in an off season that's as tricky as this one, but I think he will get them the style of play necessary for them to string together some good wins.
All right.
So,
go ahead.
How many games do you think Cleveland wins this season, Kris?
Probably 10-6.
10-6.
That's healthy.
Okay. So Baltimore's going to win the division at 11-5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Because
I just think the whole
over in Baltimore.
I just think the whole division will actually beat each other this year. Like I could see the Ravens losing to Pittsburgh. They can lose to Cleveland. Yeah, they can. Instead of them just steamrolling everybody, like I feel like they'll actually come back down to earth. These teams have years of experience playing against Lamar, and there is game plans for him now. There's two playoff games where he was defeated. That game against Tennessee, you never thought the Titans were going to lose that game. Like, they just controlled it from start to finish.
Listen, it's just hard to understand when you talk about Cleveland's going to win 10 games, but they're not going to be able to overtake Baltimore, but you're not strong on Baltimore.
Well, I just think that they're not going to be this, like, insane team that can't be beat.
Okay.
All right, next team here, the Dallas Cowboys. Last year went 8-8. This year the over/under is 9.5 wins. Typical with Dallas Cowboys in this area. Dak Prescott's the quarterback. No new deal yet for him as right now. He's franchised. Also brought in Chris's old quarterback, Andy Dalton as a backup, just in case, of course. With Dallas, it comes down to bounces. Dallas is always competitive. They're always, dangerous, and a lot of their games come down to bounces. And I think this year they will probably be on the right side of bounces. I'll go over this one. I think I'm going to go 10-6. 10-6. Look at some bounces this year. Zack, your rivals. What's up?
All right, this is the one I am so excited about. Okay?
Why?
As a Washington fan, there's probably not a bigger fan rooting for Dak Prescott this season. All right. I just want to take you down this slow, winding road real quick.
Okay.
But with the fact that we're having reductions in fans at the stadiums, it's gonna be a reduction in the cap number. And if, God forbid, you can't have any fans the whole season, that cap number is going to come down. And Dak Prescott, with everything on the line this season, is going to ball out and prove he is the best quarterback in the division. And you know what's going to happen? When they win 10 games, 11 games, they win 2 playoff games, just miss going to the Super Bowl. And Dak Prescott goes, guess what I just did, guys? We came within a score of going to the Super Bowl. I want $45 million.
You'll probably get it.
They can't pay him. They can't pay him because they are screwed with all the other signings. And they can't sign him to another franchise tag if the cap number doesn't go up from this season. So he becomes a free agent. And you know where he plays in 2021?
Washington.
That's right. He plays for Washington. He plays for the team with no mascot, no team logo, no team name. He plays for the Washington football team.
I like it. I like it.
That whole elaborate scheme to actually get him on your own team. Oh, man.
The thing is, though, it sounds believable, though. It does sound believable.
That team is so loaded this year. Dallas has to win the division. You don't have a coach that is so weak-minded as Jason Garrett was. This team should win the division.
It's the same guy who had the greatest quarterback, who had one of the guys who probably had one of the best stretches in his career ever. Like, Aaron Rodgers had like a 5-year stretch where you thought he was the greatest of all time, and he won one Super Bowl and didn't even sniff the Super Bowl after that.
He saw buzz-cutting New York football giants twice.
Oh man,
it happens.
They definitely took a step back on defense, in the back end of that defense especially. Granted, adding CeeDee Lamb to like an already potent offense makes them super scary. But I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a coaching factor or
you have all
I just see them. I just see them. Not Doug Peterson. He's still there. With how bad the Eagles had those rash of injuries, and they still won the division last year, I just don't see him. I can't see Dallas doing better. This is by far. So this is right up there with the AFC East as like the worst division in all football. Because Washington is awful.
This is worse. This is worse than the AFC East, I would say.
Oh, it's close.
I would say, like, at least in the AFC East, every team is trending up to some degree, except the Patriots, and they can still be decent. The Giants are still shitty. Skins are still shitty. You know.
That's the same thing. I think Dallas and Philly could both win double digits, but they might not. Like, I just don't see under. I don't think they make the playoffs. I think they just bottom out again.
Okay. Next one. Denver Broncos last year, they ended the year at 7-9. They are right now over under 7.5 wins. Drew Lock is the quarterback, right? Officially, is that officially the thing now?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely, 100%.
Okay. I didn't catch on the
These are
Broncos last year
franchise.
at the end of the year. I've been told he looked pretty good. Boy, tough division here. I'll go under still. I'll go under. I think it's rebuilding still. I think it'll be solid. 7-9, 6-10. You know, not ready to crack the 500 club yet. Not yet. One more year. Zach.
Well, as down on the Broncos as you are, they are my sleeping giant. Not only did they add to a potent offense in this draft with their wide receiver picks, but you consider you get a full season now of Drew Lock, not a partial season, and you get a full season with Bradley Chubb back, where he was out, I think, week 2 of the season. This defense completely reinvents itself. I think the Broncos win 8 to 9 games.
Wow.
This will be by far the best division in football.
By far. Okay.
Ooh,
Jeez.
I'm down Chargers. So
I am too. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm down the Chargers, especially.
And I don't think the Raiders are going to be that great
three-
either.
Oh, the Raiders are going to be average. You consider the Broncos are a playoff team, and then you look at the best team in the entire NFL with the Chiefs. That's the best division in football.
Yeah, well, I just think
That's
the
a lot
Chiefs
of
are just
confidence.
make that division so top heavy, but the rest of
Yeah.
I think the rest of those guys just beat up on each other where they're
I
just
agree.
all like in that same, like I feel like the Chargers, Denver, and the Raiders are all going to be in that like 5-11 to like 7-9 range. Like they're all just going to beat up on. Just the problem, no. See, I love Drew Lock, but that's such a small sample size for him to play good for last couple games. And everyone's big on like, oh, they drafted, their top 2 picks are 2 receivers. So it's like, okay, they just gave him help. But their offensive line still isn't the greatest. You're adding in Melvin Gordon, which I don't like that signing. See, I don't like the signing of Melvin Gordon. I feel like now you're just giving up hope on your young guy that you hit on in the draft. So you finally hit on a great running back in the draft. Yeah, but how would you feel if they brought in a starter off a division rival and bring him in when you just had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons as an undrafted free agent? So, like, you're not giving him, like, this vote of confidence. They made some weird moves. You lose Chris Harris. I mean, you gain AJ Boye, but he's definitely beyond his prime. You're never the same player your first year after an ACL injury, so that's why I'm not high on Bradley Chubb just, transforming that defense. Granted, it just helps, Von Miller out, but I just feel like all those teams are going to be within that 5-11 to 7-9 range, so I'm under. I feel like they're probably the best of the bunch in that division, but I don't see the second team in the division breaking 8-8. Like they're not going to get there. They're 7-9 under.
Kris, this will be your most regretful pick because Denver will make the playoffs this year. I'm just letting you know. All right.
Okay. I mean, Denver to me is like the AFC versus Carolina. So, just saying.
What the fuck?
I mean, they're not going to be great yet. They're rebuilding. That's all I'm saying. So
and you still have a newer head coach on top of it.
Yeah, like give them time to build, man. Don't Rome was built in like one day. You know what I'm saying?
Carolina doesn't have the weapons at wide receiver, defensive line.
I think the one thing what I will say about Denver, the AFC's weaker than the NFC. We can agree to that. So maybe there's a better path to get into the 8-9 wins that you say of than say in the NFC. I'll give you that part. That's about it. But I don't see it happening though. Anyway,
I
back
just
to
don't see Drew. I don't see Drew Lock taking the next step with a defensive-minded head coach. If he had one of those younger, like
Vic Fangio.
offensive-minded guys, I would see it. But with Vic Fangio, I don't see Drew Lock taking the next step. He was like a flash in the pan for the last couple games, and he stays in that like young quarterback mode where it's kind of inconsistent throughout the year. So they stay where they were last year, about 7-9, and then maybe the year after they take the next step.
Okay. All right, next team here. Let's move a little faster if we can. Next team here is the Detroit Lions. Last year was a disaster for the team, of course. They were 3-12-1. Their over-under this year is 6.5 wins. It's got Matthew Stafford, of course. I don't know. This team.
We can make this fast. We're all going under. Just get next team. Like,
I don't
no
know.
one's going over on this.
I might go over. Hold on a second.
Nothing to say.
You're not going over.
I know.
Next. Skip it. We're all going under.
Nothing
Just,
to say.
there's nothing to say. Like,
They're pesky, but no, 6-10.
he brought in some guys from New England that he had that may or may not turn their careers around. Even if they do, they're just trade bait. Like, the team's terrible. They're not players taking that one.
He'll be gone this year, right, Patricia?
Matt Patricia won't even get a coordinator job in college next year.
Well, I won't say that much.
Zack can't.
I think he goes straight back. He goes straight back to being a DC, and it's one of those things where, like, it's going to be a long time. He's going to have to reestablish himself as, like, a 4-year, like, stud DC again to ever get an even sniff a head coaching job.
I'm gonna put over under at week 10. He gets fired. Week 10.
Linebacker job.
Hey, over under week 10. He gets fired.
Under.
Week 7.
There's just one thing you can't recover from if you're a shaky head coach, and that's being bad with the media. If the media hates your local media hates your guts on top of not producing, you're never going to succeed, and you're never going to get another job for a while because everyone hates you.
Hello, Ben McAdoo? Come on, remember that? Yeah, of course. You're right. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Matt Patricia's in the same boat. Like, just, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Okay,
you
next
can't act like Bill Belichick until you've won rings.
Right. We spent way 2 minutes we need on Detroit Lions. All right. We all went under that one, obviously. All right. Green Bay Packers last year 13-3. Didn't feel like a 13-3 team last year though. I remember Zack and I talking about every week saying like they're obviously they're winning a lot of games, but they didn't feel dominant to me. They didn't feel like a 13-win team last year. And it reflects on the Vegas numbers here because their over-under is 9. I'm gonna still go over because I think Aaron Rodgers will have a solid year. But I don't. Obviously, they're not going to be anywhere close to 13-3 they were last year. I think they'll be close to maybe 11-5, 10-6. So I'll go over, but they're not going to go elite over, should I say? Zachary?
I'm with you. I totally believe Green Bay takes a step back in the win column from last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's 13-3. There's no way they see that again with what they did this offseason. So, I mean, I want to have the guts and the courage to say under here.
No.
But as bad as I believe Detroit's going to be, I have to take the over at 10 wins. So I want to take the over. I can't be so weak as to take a push at 9. So I'm going to do 10.
Is it possible that they'll lose more games, but Rodgers will be better this year than he was last year? Is it possible?
No. It's possible.
I'm at a push.
They can lose more games than last year and be a worse team. That's what's possible.
No, I'm talking about Rodgers. I'm saying Rodgers being a better quarterback this year. I don't think he was that good last year, to be honest with you.
Oh, I thought he was great.
I mean, did you see who he was throwing to? I was going to say, do you know who he's throwing to?
Yeah. Between
nobody.
Who he was throwing to and the offensive line that they put out there to protect him at times. I mean, what was it? Beluga, he couldn't even stay on the field for an entire football game all season. And yet he was supposed to be trotted out as the blind side. Give me a break.
I'm going to push. I think they go 9-7. Their team is built right now with Matt LaFleur to be a run-heavy team that plays decent defense, and that's going to be good enough to win games, especially when you have Aaron Rodgers there. But I just feel like Devontae Adams is the guy who just always has these lingering, nagging injuries, and behind him they have absolutely nobody. And they took such a luxury pick with Jordan Love, and it created such a just oh my god, just such a big divide. I feel like it was so disrespectful to Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think it's a good like I have a chip on my shoulder. I'm gonna show Green Bay how wrong they are. It's more of like this is just that he's gonna disrespect him. There's gonna be weird communication at the line of scrimmage because he's gonna want to change plays and not listen to LaFleur. But you're never gonna take him out of the game because you're too young of a head coach to be able. You don't have that clout. So it's gonna be this awkward tension all year round where LaFleur's in this contract. They've made once you let LaFleur take Jordan Love, you've made that choice. You're sticking with him over Aaron Rodgers, but you're never going to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. So there's to me this awkward tension that's going to lead that. This is the beginning of the end of this dynasty, of the era, the Aaron Rodgers era.
Right, I was gonna say,
era. Sorry,
right.
The Aaron Rodgers era is the beginning of the end, and I just don't see them being successful this year. But 9 wins is possible.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that though, because like, what's the odds that this could be his last year? Like, let's say things really do fall apart. Let's say they go like 7-9, 7-9, 8-8, whatever. That could be bad enough. Do you put Rodgers on a train block at that point? I mean, it's possible, right?
I'd say 3-1. I would put money 3-1 right now. Aaron Rodgers gets traded during next offseason.
I mean, Zack's scenario, he probably gets traded to Dallas. So I mean, because they're going to lose Zack to Washington. So.
Not LaFleur drafted a guy in the first round that played in college the exact same way as he did at a small school. And he wasted a chance to be a great head coach in the NFL to draft a kid in college that reminded him of himself. And that's what he did with Jordan Love. And this team is going to fall apart.
This is going to be one of the most interesting teams to watch of the year, because if this goes, like, it's one thing they go 9-7, 10-6, make the playoffs, and whatever, they get lost again, whatever, big deal. But if this thing craters to, like, where they go way below expectations and stuff, this could get really bad to the point where it may actually, rise up the trade talks a lot sooner than you probably would want it to. Just saying.
Yeah, you can't be at the one game away from a Super Bowl and then make these luxury picks. Taking a running back around 2 when you have the guy who led the league in rushing touchdowns or in total touchdowns last year in your backfield, and Jamal Williams is no scrub as his backup. So you have a great running back and a good backup running back, and you're going to take a running back in the second round in the most wide receiver heavy draft ever. Come on. When that's your thinnest spot on the team, and you don't even take one in the whole draft, you don't sign any free agents, like, come on. It's a joke.
Right.
Like,
okay.
No,
but their team is built to win enough games to be like 9 wins. But they're just not going to, no.
One of the most important teams to watch this year, definitely. I'm definitely watching this one very closely. All right, next team here we have the Houston Texans, who last year were 10-6, the usual, of course. Their number this year is actually 7.5 wins, home run number. This is obviously in response to losing DeAndre Hopkins. It's got to be. I mean, you still got Deshaun Watson, though. Just saying. I mean, at worst, he's still 8-8. This guy's a top 5 quarterback in the league, right? I mean, to me, that's a little low. This feels like a steal to me. Unless they revolt against Bill O'Brien. That's all they can see going forward. Otherwise, it's at least 8-8 for this team, man. Maybe 9-7. But another team like Green Bay to watch is Houston, because Bill O'Brien, getting empowered even more, in the offseason. So I'm going to go over on this one. Zach, go ahead. I'm going to go put my kid down back in the bed as you guys talk. Go ahead. Go ahead, Zach.
Zach, go.
Wait. Yeah, you there?
I'm here. Yeah. Go ahead, talk.
Oh, well, who are we talking about again?
The Houston Texans.
Houston
Go ahead and take
Texans.
over. You guys start talking.
Oh,
I'll be back in about a minute or so.
Bill O'Brien, I think he gets fired by week 5. When you make that trade, and I actually love Brandon Cooks. I think he is one of the top 10 to 15 wide receivers in this league. But you destroy the character and the fabric of the team. And I'm not sure DeAndre Hopkins is the top 5 quarterback in the league. He's certainly top 10, but I'm not sure he's top 5. I see him holding on to the ball forever. And they have one of the weakest run games in the NFL. No one ever stays healthy. They have a weak offensive line. So to imagine taking the biggest weapon, the biggest threat off a team, I think you could see a drop back. But I kind of want to take it over because I hate everybody else in that division. I think it's a terrible division.
Go ahead, Kris.
It's so funny because I think as much as everyone hated the way DeAndre Hopkins left and the return for him was terrible, bringing in Brandon Cooks, it's kind of like a wash. I mean, you lose that rapport, especially in an off-season like this. So you lose that rapport that they had together. But Randall Cobb's not a slouch. Brandon Cooks is a fantastic wide receiver. Deshaun Watson's going to make it happen with whoever he has around him. David Johnson, that's going to be a tricky one. I think he comes with a chip on his shoulder. I think he comes in, changes scenery, a nice zone blocking scheme that they run there, and I think he's going to do great. I think he's very versatile. He's a playmaker in the backfield, just like Lamar Miller never was. I think David Johnson could be that guy. Coming off, a bunch of slew of injuries, I feel this is the year that he wants to prove a point. So I feel like, they're not going to win the division by any means, but they're probably going to set that 8-8, 9-7 record just because Deshaun Watson's just good enough, and the rest of that, they just somehow pull out these games and they just find ways to win. But their defense is not great, and losing DJ Reader was tough. Oh, man, I'm talking myself out of it. Because their defense was pretty bad, and they did lose some key guys. But I feel like they're going to get to 8-8 somehow, some way.
Right.
It's just going to happen.
So you don't think they win the division?
No. Tennessee's got that.
Oh, we'll get there in a second.
We'll
get Tennessee in a second. Oh, wow. Okay. Speaking of the division, we're staying in the AFC South. The Indianapolis Colts last year finished the year at 7-9, albeit remember lost Andrew Luck literally 2 weeks before the week before the season started actually, with Jacoby Brissett in tow. Now they got Phillip Rivers as a starting quarterback, and their overall number right now is 9 wins. I'm actually kind of shocked this is that high. I thought this would be at least 8.5, 8, maybe even 7.5. I'm a little shocked. I'm gonna go under. I just don't. I guess the mindset is that Phil Rivers will have like one more year where he'll have a great year, one last rallying cry year before he hangs it up. I don't know. I just don't see that. I think he's done. I think he's just done. He is who he is. I think this is closer to an 8-8, 7-9 team. So I'm gonna go under this one. Zach?
Oh, I am so gonna take the under in this one. So I know I talked about earlier about a mortgage bet and put your money on it and how great it was. Well, this is insider trading because there's no damn way in hell that the Colts, who went 7-9 with Jacoby Brissett, can bring in a quarterback in Phillip Rivers who won 5 games with the Chargers, who had a much better roster. The Colts aren't even a tier below the Chargers roster-wise. They're probably
I don't know, man.
tiers.
That Colts offensive line is a lot better.
No. That I agree with. Is why I think they'll be decent.
What the Chargers had last year, and Phillip Rivers to do what he did, and now you're going to put the Colts at 9 wins? Get the fuck out of here. If you have a penny to your name, you put it on the Colts in the under. This is the best thing to ever happen to gambling.
Let me put it this way quick, Kris, we jump in here. If Brissett was a quarterback, I may actually go over or even push or even go over. I think going to Rivers actually is a step backwards.
Yeah, but I don't think they're committed. Like, It's a 1 year, $25 million deal. They'll pull him. If he plays bad, they'll yank him immediately.
The building they're doing, said the line is probably best in the league on that. They're building the right way. But Rivers is the kind of quarterback that loses you games. Like, literally loses you games. That's why.
If you're talking about, you got a guy like Frank Reich at head coach, who was a backup quarterback who came in and made things happen. I don't think he's the kind of guy who's going to leave Philip Rivers in there. I think he'll yank him faster. He throws 3 picks, he's out.
Yeah.
He's bringing Jacoby Brissett immediately.
Philip Rivers loses the game in the fourth quarter with an interception with the game on the line. Philip Rivers doesn't lose the game in the first quarter. He loses it in the fourth quarter at the most important.
No, not last year. He played pretty bad last year.
To be able to pull this guy.
Well, last year he cratered, and this is who he is. He's not gonna get any better than he is now. This is who he is.
He's going to a team with a strong run game and a strong offensive line, which is what he had when he began his career. And you have guys like T.Y. Hill. The team is built right. They made the trades to get DeForest Buckner. So they strengthened their trenches on both sides. I don't know. Jonathan Taylor seemed like a real luxury pick to me. Marlon Mack's good.
Let me give me my ultimate take here in this whole situation. Jacoby Brissett right now is a better quarterback than Philip Rivers. That's the bottom line. They got the wrong guy. Starting.
I think they're equivalent, and that's why they are going to stay in that same range. I'm going under. I think they stay at that anywhere between 6-10 to 8-8 record. Right. I don't think they surpass that 9 wins. I don't think they break through. But they're going to be good enough just because they have a strong run game and defense.
Yeah, right. But with Brissett quarterback, I think they'd be a 9-10 win team. That's just my opinion. All right, next up here is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who last year finished the year at 6-10. Their over/under this year is 4.5 wins. Jesus. I mean, God, they can't get 5 wins here at least. Give me over this one. 5-11 at least. Come on.
Oh my God, you're nuts.
Is that bad? Are they that bad?
Yes.
What's the quarterback's name? Who's the quarterback this year?
They put all their eggs in Gardner Minshew right there in that basket.
Oh, Uncle Rico.
They put them all right there. You got a guy they hate, Leonard Fournette, a running back top 4, who at one point was running all over the Steelers in the playoffs. The next minute they hate his guts and didn't pick up his option.
Okay, you know what?
So now you have this broken marriage, but they're still all there.
Okay, you told me. I'm going under. You told me. I'm going under. 4-12. There you go. You told me.
Their best defensive player hates the team. All their most talented players hate the team. So how can you ever expect them to do better? It's under.
You're correct. Okay, under. Zach, under 2?
I'll tell you how you expect them to do better. If they go 5-12, and they have a bunch of young draft picks who want to prove something so that they can get paid. And you think the dude who hates the team on defensive end, however you pronounce his name, isn't going to try and show up and show out? He's only had one big season. You're going to sit out a season when you're getting paid franchise tag money? No. He's going to show up, show out.
So you're going over?
No.
Leonard Fournette, that's the dumbest thing the Jaguars are doing right now by not paying him. He's easily a top 10 running back. You could lock him up. And right now, after what Melvin Gordon got, you could give him $7 million and lock up a top 10 running back in this league. And they're not doing it.
No, he was already getting paid top 4 pick money. You can't regress from that point.
Mm-hmm.
Not after he's had the monster games that he has.
So Zach, you're
$5 million.
So Zach, you're going over this one?
Yeah, because it's 4.5. I think they win 5 games.
Okay.
No.
I think I think the division's horrible. I think,
but they're so much worse than the rest of the division.
Right.
Not really.
I think this is one of those teams where you have when we talk about Arizona being the established cellar dweller, and Detroit being the established cellar dweller in the AFC or the NFC North.
Yeah, I'm with Kris.
This is they are the established cellar dweller of the AFC South, and they're going to lose a lot.
There's a separation between the Colts and Jaguars.
I think Gardner Minshew is just as good as Philip Rivers. That's it.
But the Colts.
Yeah, but the rest of the team is so bad. The rest of the team, what all your players hate the team, you're never gonna be successful.
All right, let's go next team here. Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs. Last year, went 12-4. The over-under this year is 7.5 wins. This is easy. Just hit the fucking over.
Over. We're all taking over. Let's just switch it. Let's just skip this. We're all going over.
Pat Mahomes was the god. Come on now. Let's go. Let's go.
He dislocated his knee last year, and they still won 12 games. Over.
The Kansas City Chiefs returned more starters than any other team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
How they do not have the highest win total is a joke.
Yeah. This is a steal. Put it this way. If they go less than 12-4 this year, that's a disappointment.
Well, they're tied for the highest win total. They're tied for the highest win total.
It should be 12. But
it
of course,
should be 12.5.
Yeah. This is like This is like peak Patriots. It should be peak Patriots win totals, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're returning Tyreek Hill, every single person on the, and you're adding guys, like, no brainer.
But next. Way over. Next one. Oh, the Las Vegas Raiders. Last year in Oakland, they went 7-9. This year, their over-under is 7.5 wins. Derek Carr's still there. They're going to be a solid team that won't make the playoffs. That's all. They'll steal wins here and there, and play for playoff spot, but then fade out week 15. So I'm going to go under 7-9. Let's go. On top out here. Zach? Zachary?
Here, I'll take over.
Okay, Kris.
Under. They're like I said, they're like a 5-11 team, 6-10 team. They're just good enough to sneak out games. I think, John Gruden's not a bad coach by any means, but a team is just built so weird.
Yeah, it's a weird.
And
team.
you have Derek Carr still in limbo. You have a guy like Marcus Mariota who's kind of like in flux in his career. He has no identity. He doesn't know what he is. Is he a starter? Is he a backup? Like, what's going on here? He's still young enough to turn his career around, but we don't know what's going on. So you have two guys that are literally in the same position who have had early success and been to the playoffs, but both of them now find themselves in this quarterback competition. They don't know what the hell's going on. I felt like drafting Henry Ruggs was a weird pick, but yeah, I'm just under on them. Their free agent signings weren't good enough to take them over the top. Like they're definitely gonna be lower than they were before. And their offensive line, which is their strongest point, is now like mediocre.
Yeah. Zachary? Did Zach go? Did we lose Zach? Hold on. I think we lost Zach. Did we lose Zach? No, he's on the call. He's just not there. Zachary? All right, we'll skip for now until he gets back.
Oh, shit.
There he is.
How about now?
There we go.
All right. No,
Raiders,
I love this. I love this line. I think this team's an 8-8 team with a legit chance at 9-7.
Really?
For all the hate that you guys are giving, and I gave a shit ton of hate to John Gruden, and I think he's a terrible GM. And I think he's a decent head coach. But this team has too much talent to not be 7-9, 8-8. So I'll take an 8-8 because I think this is the best division in all of football.
Well, we'll find out here next team here. Because staying in the AFC West, the Los Angeles Chargers last year, of course, Flip was the quarterback last year. They created a 5-11. This year, they're over under 7.5 wins. I just don't see anything that tells me they're going to be better than 5 wins. Be better than better. I think 5-11 is going to be where they're at again this year. So I'm going to go way under. Zach?
So I am totally torn on this one. In one boat, I'm like, hey, they had Phillip Rivers and they sucked. This team's got to still suck. But then I'm like, well, they got Tyrod Taylor, or they could go with the rookie quarterback, and neither one's going to turn the football over like Phillip Rivers.
It's Justin Herbert, right?
So if you're not turning the football over, maybe you have a shot at winning a football game. So maybe they're going to be better than what I'm expecting.
But 7.5 wins, though?
That's the thing. I love the Chiefs. I'm huge on Denver.
You like the Raiders.
I think Oakland's going to be good.
So there you go.
I have to take the under in this. They have to be. If not, If not the worst team in the league, they'll be second to Cincinnati.
Dude, this is a steal. I may parlay this with Buffalo's number and probably another team. Seriously, there's some steal here. Honestly,
I would pound this one.
Absolutely,
I would pound this one so hard.
They're not that bad. I mean,
it
only takes a couple injuries here and there to get to that point. I'm going under here. I hate a team that.
They have zero run game whatsoever.
Oh, Austin Eckler's not that bad. Justin Jackson's a decent player.
There is no scenario where I see this team finishing 500. And so once you eliminate that thought, then everything else is under anyway.
I think Anthony Lynn has established an identity to the team, which is an important thing to do. But no, I still think they're like when I say all teams are that same range, I still think like them and Oakland are about the same, 5-11, 6-10, 7-9. You know, it's easy under because I hate teams that don't know if they want to go with the retread and Tyrod Taylor or go with the young guy, and it's just you don't know which way they're going to go. The team's always you're going to have the fan base, which is non-existent, but they're going to say, "I'll just put a young guy in. We don't want to see Tyrod Taylor. He's kind of maxed out. We know what he is," and their defense. I mean, they just paid Joey Bosa,
I feel so bad for Anthony Lynn because he is a legit head coach.
I agree.
In this league. And his career has been destroyed by what Philip Rivers did last season.
That's all right.
Football and not caring.
I see the team they're a team that doesn't know that they're in rebuilding mode.
Don't know.
Because
of course they're in building mode. I mean, they don't know that they're stupid.
They drafted a quarterback in top 5. They know.
Well, because when you draft quarterback top 5, you think you're going to be right back in it. And you have a nice veteran core. You have a good defense. You don't necessarily have to be in a full. When I'm talking about rebuilding, I'm talking about like, you're going to be bottom 5 in the league. Like that, trust the process type of shit.
Yeah.
Like if you're drafting top 5, you got problems for a while. There should never be a quick bounce back.
No, but you lost Derwin James, your top playmaker on one of your top, game-changing playmakers on defense, stuff like that. You think you can bounce back with a good defense and running game and just overall play? And like I said, the style that Anthony Lynn has created there is a winning style of football. It's a good brand of football, but they don't know which way they want to go, and I think that just leads them to being a mediocre, like a below mediocre team.
Right.
And I said that earlier. No quarterback this year or next has any shot at success. So again, you're screwing Anthony Lynn, who's a truly good coach, a guy who can motivate his players. But you had Philip Rivers last year, and now you're going to have a rookie who takes over at some point this year, and he has no chance of success. So what do? You're going to fire the coach.
All right. Next team here, staying in the same city, the Los Angeles Rams. Last year finished the year at 9-7. This year the over/under is 9 wins. And honestly, I like the push here. Although I can see them going over at 10 wins. I think that's dependent on how the Niners respond this year to the Super Bowl. So, but I'm going to go push here. Zack.
I feel so good for being the only one not to do a push yet.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed Kris has busted out 2 already. So
this is my first one, too.
You're still doing good.
Did I push? No, this is my first one also, too.
Good.
This is my first one.
Yeah,
my first push also.
You've only done 1. And he's done 2. So we're doing good. But I'm with you. I think everything in this division comes down to what happens with San Fran. Mm-hmm. They traded away one of their top defensive linemen. They gave up on one of their top running backs. This is a running back-oriented team. You have a quarterback that clearly the coach doesn't trust yet because of the game, the way in which he calls the game plan. So I think the Rams have a legit chance at still getting the over.
Yeah.
When you put out a defensive player of the year on the field every year with Aaron Donald, and as much as we can crap on the quarterback, he's still pretty good. He's a top 15 quarterback in this league.
Yeah.
And now you have a running back you can trust instead of having to worry about his knee on every single run play. I think it works to the Rams' advantage, and they get the over. With the belief that the 49ers fall back.
Well, that and then the question marks with Jared Goff. And look, the Rams are all in. They gave away all their draft picks away. So they have a really good roster. This roster alone should guarantee him at least a wild card spot, no matter how you slice it. But it's the wonkiness of the rest of the conference and the rest of the division that may alter that.
So I've got to say this. All right. I believe they made a downgrade when they made that trade for the corner.
Okay, to leave?
Jalen Ramsey.
Ramsey, sorry.
Yeah. I think Jalen Ramsey is more hype than he is actual action on the field. I don't believe he plays for the team. I believe he plays for himself versus Marcus Peters. So I just believe what they did with the corner situation hurt the team. But Jared Goff, I am a believer that he can keep this team on a winning way.
I'm actually tempted to take the fucking over and just say, fuck it, 10-6, let's go with it. But
do it.
You know what? I'm gonna do it. Over 10-6. Let's go.
Yes, finally I got a follower.
Easy one for me. Easy under.
Really?
This is a crazy thing. This is going to be one of those teams where their record's worse, but you're going to feel more confident in the team itself. I feel like you're going to see a better Rams team, more balanced, better Rams team. Now that the big names are, Brandon Cooks is gone, Todd Gurley's gone, and I feel like you're gonna finally see what this team is all about, because they had one good year, one mediocre year. They're going to be a good team. I see 7-9, 8-8. I see that. I don't see 9-7. I don't see them being that much better.
Wow.
Like, just being better. But you're going to see a team where you're like, okay, Sean McVay's legit. You can see where they're going with it, that he has a system. They have an identity. You'll see that this year. But I just think overall, with how deep the NFC is, and a lot of other teams taking that next step, I think they're going to regress just slightly. But you'll feel better about for some reason you'll feel better about the team. You'll just feel like, okay, I get it now. Like, I see which way the Rams are going, and I see that Sean McVay is going to lead them, but they're just not going to get over that 9-1 hump again. Not just yet. So you'll
feel it in the moment, in the entrenchment of the season, like, oh, this is not a bad team, and then but they'll lose a game here they shouldn't lose, and then ultimately go 8-8. Yeah, I can see. I can see where you're coming from. That's why the number 9 is really important. You know,
it's a tough,
so I don't know.
Tough number, yeah.
Yeah. All right, next team here, the Miami Dolphins. Last year, ended the year at 5-11, which was pretty good considering what their expectations were coming into last season. A very competitive 5-11. This year, they're over-under, and Vegas likes them at 6.5 wins. Lots of hype about this team, like trending up. That's the word. Brian Flores is trending up. I hope they do well. I like seeing them win 8+ games. I just don't see it happening. They'll be better this year, but I'm gonna go under still. 6-10.
We're all going under.
6-10.
There's no way that goes over.
It's still a long process for them.
No, I mean there just isn't. And I'll repeat it again. Quarterback drafted this year is completely screwed. So the Dolphins have no shot.
Right.
I'm under.
They're not better than the Bills. They're not better than the Bills. They're not better than the Jets, in my opinion. They're not better than the Patriots, we believe. The Patriots are
they are better than the Jets.
You think
They could be equivalent to the Jets. They could be equivalent to the Jets, but
that's touch and go there. That could be.
I won't say better, but I'll say equivalent.
They are better.
Okay, we'll see.
No, the team's gonna have a strong defensive identity, but they're just gonna be lacking. They're not gonna win anywhere near 6 games.
All right, the Minnesota Vikings last year ended the year at 10-6, even won a wild card game against the New Orleans Saints. That shocking wild card performance in overtime. This year their over under is at 9, perfect, right where it should be. Again, probably one of the best rosters in football, top to bottom. I'll go over. I think they'll still win these 10 games. Kirk Cousins is not bad. He had a career year last year. I mean, he'll be at least close to us. I mean, because the roster around him is good enough. So 10 wins is right there. It's a sweet spot. Now, I like the Rams. A lot of this has to do with the Green Bay thing, because I think we all agree Green Bay is not going to be 13-3 good anymore. So how far they fall, we'll see. But I'll go over it. I think the Minnesota will win the division this year. Zack?
You know how I feel. You know I want to take the under on this.
I know you do.
I so want to take the under, but with Green Bay coming back to the pack a little from 13 wins, and while Chicago's going to be better, I can still see 10 wins for Minnesota. And Minnesota, I wouldn't put in the top 5 for rosters anymore. They lost a couple guys on their defensive line and at linebacker. You certainly got weak at your wide receiver core when you got rid of Diggs. So, I mean, they're not as good roster-wise as they were last year, but I will still take them for 10 wins because I refuse to take a push this year.
Over for me.
You go some balls today, Zach. There you go, Kris. Over.
Mike Zimmer's top 10 head coach in the league. All their losses they had with Stephon Diggs, and they literally lost their entire cornerbacks. They replaced in the first round of the draft with a corner and a wide receiver. I mean, they lose the offensive coordinator, but Mike Zimmer's just too good of a head coach overall to let that team slide. They're going to keep chugging along. Because of Kirk Cousins' inconsistencies, they'll never win more than 10 or 11 games, but they'll be right there at 10 or 11 wins.
They'll get a playoff win here or there. They'll get a playoff win here or there, and then that's it. They'll hit a ceiling in the second round of playoffs and lose. There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
They're a stepping stone team.
Yes.
They're a team that's good enough to make the playoffs. They'll beat the non-competing, not real contending type teams, but they'll never beat the real contenders. They're just right there. Once you beat them, you're ready to take the next step.
They beat New Orleans, although they did take out New Orleans last year, who was the favorite to win the NFC last year. And they'll do that. They'll shock you with one win, and then they'll fall apart. So, yeah, I agree. All right, the New England Patriots. Here we go. Last year, winning 12-4, lost in the wild card game against the Tennessee Titans. This year, of course, over-under is 9 wins. Of course, they lose Tom Brady. He went to Tampa. A couple of pieces, of course, they lost. I think Kyle Van Noy's gone too, right? I believe, right? Kyle Van Noy's also departed, I believe. A couple key pieces here. They do get Cam Newton in, most likely be their starting quarterback. It's funny. Everybody's talking about the demise of the Patriots all year long. Since the moment Brady announced he's going to Tampa. Oh, this is it. The Pats are done. Dynasty's over. This and that. I am bullish. I think the closer we get to the year, I think the Pats are going to win the division. I think the Pats are going to surprise folks. I can see. I'm taking the over in this one for this record. It's a gamble. I'm taking the over in this one. I can see this team winning somehow 11-5 record. Cam Newton come back player of the year. Bill Belichick was coach of the year, and then you're like, oh damn, what the fuck? I really see that happening. I don't know, man. This franchise just won't die yet. Look, they're not a Super Bowl contender, but good God, you have that guy's head coach. Anything can happen. I'm gonna go over, man. I think they're not dead this yet. Oh, I'm gonna go over. Zach.
You know, when they added Cam Newton, for the slightest second, I thought, wow, the Patriots found a way again to win the division. And then I thought about it for a second. You have Cam Newton, who literally tries to hold on to the ball forever. Forever and a day he will hold on to that football before he throws it. And then I thought, what was the number one key to the Patriots offense for 20 years? A quick release quarterback. A guy in Tom Brady who, as soon as you could count to 3, the ball was already in the wide receiver's hands. Now, are they going to fall off a cliff, the Patriots? No. Were they with Jason Statham? Fuck yeah, they were. But Cam Newton, he may not be the greatest player anymore in the league, but he can get you 8 wins. So I'll take the under. But at least Bill Belichick will still look like he can coach.
Yeah, but 8 wins with like Cam Newton plus, I don't know, man. Like, it's not.
They lost a lot of dudes to
I
opting out in the
agree.
season
I
on
agree.
defense.
I just.
Not just opting out. They weren't built. By the time the playoffs got around last year, that team wasn't built to succeed. And then they got dismantled.
But they get the reset button, though. Belichick gets the reset button. I don't know, man. I just think that
Cam Newton is on a reset button.
I think Cam will be motivated this year. I think you put him in Belichick's hands. Come on. I mean, oof.
Okay, so you take a guy who struggled to complete 60% and Belichick's offensive mind, where it's just don't turn the ball over and just move the ball. Well, 60% ain't moving the ball in the NFL anymore.
I don't know. What do you got, Kris?
I'm going push. I think them and the Bills both finished 9-7. Now, would I be shocked if
God
both
damn it, Kris.
or either one go 10-6? Not at all. But that's definitely the ceiling of ceilings for both teams. But I think both teams finished 9-7. That's the best record you're going to get out of the worst division of all football. And they're going to be good enough. Bill Belichick's going to prove why he's the greatest coach of all time in a season like this. He's going to prove it. Take away Dante Hightower, take away Patrick Chung, take away them all. Doesn't matter. He's just going to find a way. Take away Tom Brady, take away Gronk. He's going to find a way and plug and play. And they're going to rely heavier on Sony Michel and James White and all the running backs.
Yeah,
and they're going to find a way they're going to go back to where Tom Brady first started, when they were run heavy with Antoine Smith and Tom Brady's dinking and dunking. And you're going to see Cam Newton dinking and dunking, because that's what McDaniels does. He's going to now.
Well, again, but Zach, what you're not getting though, Zach, is that you're placing Cam Newton in Bill Belichick's hand. I would agree with you, Zach, if he was going to fucking I don't know, Ben McAdoo or some other middle of the road coach. He's now being placed in Bill Belichick's hand. The same.
Ernest.
Yes.
When did Bill Belichick start calling offensive game plans?
When the what now?
When did Bill Belichick start calling offensive game plans?
Zack.
I'm not suggesting all that,
okay.
man. I don't know.
He is not in Bill Belichick's hands. All right.
Zack.
This is the
Zack. How many offensive coordinators have been there throughout the years? 1 million of them. They've all become head coaches.
No, 2. There have been
Charlie Weiss, McDaniels was there and left. Bill O'Brien. There's been a ton of guys that have gone through there.
That's it. That's
Trust
3.
me, he is.
You were right. There were 3.
I'm just saying, man. You sit here doubting Bill Belichick, dude. Good luck.
He's lost all his coordinators on both sides of the ball and always been able to reload because he is the mastermind.
Dude,
Kris,
doubt him at your own risk, Zachary. You don't. I mean,
how
come on,
many
Zach.
of those defensive coordinators succeeded in the NFL without Bill Belichick?
Even the offensive guys didn't either.
Yeah. But again,
Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien with the Texans.
That's still
But
questionable.
we're not talking after the fact. We're talking about right now inside the Bill Belichick mantra, inside the Bill Belichick castle. Okay? That's all I'm saying, man.
So all I'm saying is you're talking about this crew's Bill Belichick. You're switching out Tom Brady.
Okay.
For Cam Newton.
Look, Zachary.
For guys who won MVP with no real wide receiver.
I'm not sitting there saying
so Ted Ginn was his number one receiver that year. His number one guy went down in training camp. Like,
I'm not even suggesting that they're going to be a Super Bowl contender.
How good is Bill Belichick if you're giving him Cam Newton to win?
But again,
you're talking about a dude that's won games when he broke his back to start the year in a car accident.
To Tom Brady to now Cam Newton.
Okay, Tom Brady gets you 12, 13 wins. Cam Newton gets you 9, 10 wins. I'm okay with that too. Come on. I'm not comparing Tom Brady. I'm just comparing the fact that they're not going to be a Super Bowl contender, even with the success I think they will have.
Absolutely not.
But a playoff team with division, why not?
I'm disputing that him winning this season proves how great he is. He's got Cam fucking Newton.
But he's done it with. He did it with Matt Castle.
Look. Unless you're sitting there saying Cam Newton's a scrub now.
Matt Castle was a Pro Bowler with the Chiefs, so stop with the Matt Castle stuff.
Up to that point, Matt Castle never even started a game in college. You took a guy that didn't start a single game in college and started him in the pros, and he won 11 games with him.
Look, I could be totally wrong with Zach. I'm just saying I have a hunch.
Did he also become an All-Pro for the Chiefs? Did he go to a Pro Bowl with the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Chris?
I'm going based on a hunch, buddy.
Was a Pro Bowler with the Chiefs. And not the Chiefs with Andy Reid, but with like the not even Tony Dungy. Who was the guy who coaches the University of Arizona now?
Herm Edwards.
Yeah. Herm Edwards.
Play to win the game.
He was a Pro Bowler with Herm Edwards as coach.
He's
and you're talking about, Bill Belichick.
Okay, but again, Cam Newton's better than Matt Castle, so let's stop all that now.
Yes, exactly. That's my point.
It's still going to prove. He lost
former MVP.
6 guys on defense. He lost 6 guys on defense, including the 2 guys. Well, not 2 because Devin McCourty's still there, but Dante Hightower and Deron Harmon.
Bottom line, it's all based on a hunch. This is based on a hunch. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying. All I'm saying is Tom Brady proves it was about Tom Brady in New England when he takes the Bucs to the Super Bowl. Bill Belichick doesn't prove it's about Bill Belichick by having Cam Newton at quarterback and getting to the playoffs.
Right.
There's a huge difference.
All right, let's move to the next team here. This is another intriguing team here. New Orleans Saints last year, I believe, went 13-3. My screen went blank for a second. Give me one quick second. The New Orleans Saints, I believe.
They went 13-3, yes. 13-3.
This year? That was a guess.
Are the Saints not the scariest team on paper?
Always.
Like, if you're betting an over-under with the Saints, you're all about, oh my God, if I just lose one player at any one key position, the Saints could completely fall apart.
And yet last year they lost Drew Brees 6 games. They still flourished. This is crazy. Remember last year lost Drew Brees?
I mean, okay. How about if they?
And I think they can afford it too with Jameis Winston there.
Yeah,
Call me crazy, but I think Jameis with Sean Payton could hold it down for.
Jameis Winston had Mike Evans, and he couldn't win 7 fucking games.
But again, like Belichick, putting Jameis Winston step back. I said this to you in the summer, buddy. Put Jameis Winston now step back to back up, put you into Sean Payton's hands, one of the best offensive minds of the last fucking quarter century. Okay, who will have the reins of that team in a year when Drew Brees retires? By the way, the over-under on this is 10.5 wins. I'm going to go.
I'm pretty sure most people would have said Bruce Arians is also one of the 5 greatest offensive
I
minds of
agree,
the
but
last
maybe
25
taking a step back, humbling yourself as a backup to one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Drew Brees. That can pay dividends for the future. I respect what James did.
Okay. I thought we were talking Jameis Winston. We're talking Tyson Hill. Okay,
Not fun. Not fun, James Winston, buddy. By the way,
No.
F wins.
No. We can't be talking Jameis Winston.
Stop that now.
Taysom Hill is not the real backup quarterback there. He's not. He's a gadget player.
Thank you. By the way, I'm going over this thing. Look, they're not going to be 13-3 this year. They might be 11-5, but they'll still be solid as long as everybody's healthy, which I think they will. They'll be fine. So I'm going to go over 10.5 wins. Zach, what you got?
I'm going to do the craziest thing ever.
You did the thing I did last year, didn't you?
If everybody in the world stays healthy, this team goes over. It's no doubt. But if just one wide receiver, one key star player gets hurt, this whole team falls like a house of cards. So I'm going to take the under.
You see,
about
ahead.
everybody getting hurt on every team except for this one, Kris.
So Drew Brees was gone for 6 games last year.
Is Teddy
They brought in Emmanuel Sanders. Like, they can afford to lose Michael Thomas. You don't think with Sean Payton's schemes, guys get open no matter what. It's all about route combinations. It's not about the players.
What's that?
No. He's like, we can lose Michael Thomas because we got Emmanuel Sanders? No.
They're well coached. Sean Payton's a jerk, but he's still a great coach.
And guess what? You can't lose Drew Brees this year because you know who you're not bringing in? You're not bringing in Teddy Bridgewater. You're bringing in Mr. Interception.
Like, again, I am trusting in Sean Payton to clean him up.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Now,
Ernest, in one magical offseason where he never even got to work with them, like they were completely separated the whole time. This is going to be the one that changes Jameis Winston.
I think Jameis is good enough with the talent in New Orleans to win with that coaching to win enough games to keep him afloat if Drew Brees got hurt.
I agree. I respect.
Now I do see. I see the floor being 10 wins, but I'm going to go over. But not. I don't think they're going to win 12. I think they're going to win exactly 11 games, so I'll take that over. Because I think the rest of that division balances out. I think Atlanta's a little better. Tampa Bay's a lot better. So I feel like, New Orleans wins the division with 11 wins exactly.
I had the same thing, too. There you go.
And
by the way, Zach doing the thing I did last year with the Saints.
My brain.
I thought the Saints, what Zach is saying, what happened to the Saints this year, is what I thought would happen last year. And clearly I was wrong about that. I had to do an apology podcast on that as a result. Actually. For Saints fans.
So you thought it last year, and you went from Teddy Bridgewater, who doesn't make mistakes, just like Drew Brees, who doesn't make mistakes, to Mr. Interception himself.
Yeah, but Jameis makes plays
in the history of the NFL.
Again, clean up on aisle 5. Sean Payton's coming. It's okay.
Yeah, Sean Payton. Hey, over Zoom, you know what you don't do? You don't throw into triple coverage. Hey, thanks, Coach. I never knew that.
Okay, can we not spend much time on this? Hey, can we not spend time
Sean Payton's amazing.
Right.
Giants under. Just skip them.
Thank you. wait, real quick.
Daniel Jones, he might clean up the turnovers. They're not doing anything.
Wait,
Zach, hell no.
Hold on. Hold on.
Giants
Zach,
are over.
Wait, Zach, hold on. You went under in the Saints?
Yes, he went under.
In the
okay,
Saints,
so make sure.
I'm taking the over in the Giants.
Wow, really? What's wrong with you? Under. Let's get out of here.
Oh, my God.
I'm a Giants fan. What's wrong with you? Rebuilding. Joe Judge.
He thinks Joe Judge. Joe Judge.
Have you seen,
all I have to say.
Have you seen what you guys? Oh shit! I forgot about the coach thing. I thought you still had the same dumbass as before.
We spent the last two teams defending
That's right.
two great coaches in the last quarter century, and you went, of course it matters.
You took a special teams coach that was straight up garbage.
Wide receivers coach.
Yeah, whatever he is.
You're right.
Former Alabama assistant.
Never mind.
Under.
I get the under.
And I'm a Giant fan saying this, but I want to see Daniel Jones bounce back.
With your coaching staff from last year, I would have taken the over this year. I forgot you changed the coaching staff.
Sure.
They're the NBA League Pass type of team where they're going to put up some points with Saquon, and Daniel Jones will have flashes of greatness, and they're going to be fun. Evan Ingram's still there. They have good young talent, but they're just not going to be able to put it together. Yeah. They're going to lose a ton of games, but they'll still be fun to watch.
I agree. They shock me.
A third season with Pat Shermer, with all that young talent, it would have been a good team.
I didn't even want to hire. I didn't even want him as our head coach to begin with, so I'm not too mad that he's gone. Anyway, next New York team.
I forgot you guys made the dumbest hire in the NFL history.
Dave Gettleman. All right, next team
Giants
here. New York.
Always doing expectations.
By the way, the Giants last year were for the sake of the podcast, the Giants last year were 4-12. They're over under 6.5 wins. So
just remember, Zack said over for the Giants. Okay, keep moving.
Initially, he did. Yes.
Initially.
Oh yeah. Oh, he changed his mind.
Yeah.
Then he said Joe Judge.
Wait, Joe Judge? Not Joe Brown.
No. We're all going under on the Jets.
No Patriot assistants.
Yeah.
I don't care how short your time was with the Patriots. I know you're a garbage coach.
Wait. So what you're saying is that Joe Judge is Matt Patricia light, but slimmer. All right. Let's go next team.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Next team here, the New York Jets last year went 7-9, which is a shock to me because I didn't see that coming. Considering how bad they were early in the year. The over-under is actually, surprisingly 7 wins. I am going to actually push on this one. I'm going to push. I'm a pussy. Go ahead. It's okay.
I can't believe we haven't won that many games.
I think Sam Darnold is his third year. I think he'll fit to his own. I think they'll be a solid team, whatever. And I think he'll get some wins here and there. They're not good enough to catch New England and Buffalo. Well, we'll see how good New England is anyway. I think them getting 8 wins or more is dependent on the Patriots, how good they are.
That guy said he saw ghosts while mic'd up in a game.
Okay, so. Okay.
He went 6-2 over the last 8 games of the season last year.
Thank you. Came from Mono.
Talking about another guy who everyone hates, and Adam Gase as well.
That's the thing. That's the rub. Now Adam Gase is not a terrible coach. He's just a terrible person.
Not.
I mean, we got separate too now.
And I love the draft that the Jets had. Love their draft. Best player available, each position, every time down. You got to take just the best players. In a league where you have 52, 53 guys on the roster, you just take the best players no matter what. They had a great draft. Le'Veon says ready to go. He was hurt last year. He's ready to go. They're under by a mile. They're going to be so fucking trash.
Oh, wow.
They might win 3-4 games. Wow. You still have this weird tension on the team. Oh, they just traded Jamal Adams. But they traded him after the draft, so you couldn't even use the draft capital to improve your team this year.
They're so dumb. They're a dumb team.
Trash.
I'm not saying they're good. I said 7 wins. I mean, plus, whatever.
And get me wrong, I don't mind Sam Darnold as a player. I think he's actually one of the better, younger guys. But he still hasn't fixed the intercept.
He's a
solid. I don't know why all those guys in that draft class, they just fumble a lot, and the interceptions. And it's like, oh, man, I just don't see them. I don't see the team clicking with Adam Gase and them creating this winning culture, especially after trading Jamal Adams. Maybe with the draft capital they got from Jamal Adams, don't get me wrong, they've made some great trades where they built up a lot of draft capital in the next couple of years. So maybe with the couple classes they're building up, including this one, takes them to the next level, but it ain't starting right now. Trash. Dumpster team.
And what do you got, Zack, on that one?
Listen, I would love to take the over in this Jets team. All right.
What is it about?
You cannot go 6-2 in your last 8 games like Sam Darnold did last year with no offensive weapons at wide receiver or tight end, and then come into the season and be like, yeah, they're only good for 7 wins total.
So push.
I can't
He's
do
going
a
over.
push.
So under.
He's going
So
over.
far in, I can't do a push.
Then go under then.
So I'm torn. Do I go the over, or do I still take the under because they are a New York team and I hate New York teams?
Yeah, stop. Yeah, you and your
I'm
feelings.
going to
dude.
take the under because you hurt their defense. You added nothing on offense and free agency. You're relying on wide receivers that you drafted
Mm-hmm.
that even when they pay off, don't pay off dividends in their first year usually.
That's what I'm saying,
So
yeah.
I'm going to take the under, and it's not because I want to. It's because of what the front office did.
As my man Fran Fraschilla would say, they're a year away from being a year away.
Yep, I agree. That's and being a 7-win team is just that.
Shut the fuck no, hell no, they're not a 7-win team. Next.
Alrighty.
But here's one redeeming quality for the Jets. They have no money tied up in any players. So with the salary cap coming down this year, they're going to be the king of free agency for a couple of years. So they have,
and like I said, they have tons of draft capital. Tons.
They have a chance to redo the entire NFL if they do it right.
Okay, next team here. The Philadelphia Eagles. Last year, kind of a weird year, but they actually still won the division at 9-7, despite all the injuries. This year, the over-under is 9.5 wins. This is all dependent on one guy, pretty much. Carson Wentz. Just that simple. If he's healthy, this team could be 10 wins. You saw last year how it worked out for them. Now, granted, the teams they played down the stretch was pretty much terrible, other than Dallas. But I don't know. This is tough. You know what? I picked them in the division. I'll go over because I picked them in the division anyway. So, give me the over. Not 10-6. I think Wentz makes it the year.
You have the Cowboys over too, and you think Philly's gonna have a better record?
Yeah, I think it's neck and neck. Because remember, those two teams in the division are going to be terrible. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So I go over this one. Zachary, Eagles. Your Eagles.
I'm with you. It pains my heart, but I'm going to take the over too. You managed to bring a guy who used to be one of the best left tackles in the history of the NFL, and you're going to move him to guard. All you can do is say, hey, this just made my offensive line better. So you have protection for a quarterback who is brittle as can be. Then during the NFL draft, you got another deep threat just in case Deshaun Jackson pulls a hamstring like he does every freaking game. I think while they go over, I don't believe they win the division. I think Dallas wins the division, but the Eagles will go over 9.5.
I like the Eagles to win the division. It could be 9-7 again like last year. It could be 10-6. I put them at 10-6 this year. I think they just have this. They have this alpha mentality that they can't lose to the Cowboys. Even though they got blown out last year in the first meeting around, for some reason they just know when December comes, they're going to steal the division away from Dallas every single time. And they just have that mentality. And Carson Wentz is a winner, man. He had some shit talent last year and pulled them into the playoffs. And I feel like they traded for Darius Slay. So they added some talent at key positions here and there. I just feel like there's no, like, you still have Zack Ertz, Dallas Goedert. They have this great tight end combo. Miles Sanders is going to take the next step. I don't know if Jalen Reagor comes in and has a big, like, impact. He could as their first-round pick, but I just have all the faith in the world in Doug Peterson to keep the train moving, and I don't have it. And everyone thinks, like, Mike McCarthy's going to come in this, like, fresh face and take Dallas to the next level. I feel like they just keep that same, like, weird, stagnant, confused state there in Dallas. I feel like Philly just ekes by every year, and they're going to eke by again this year. 10-6.
Alrighty. Next team here, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who last year, without Big Ben Roethlisberger, who missed pretty much 14 games. Last year went 8-8, which actually was pretty decent considering all the changes they made last year. The over-under number this year is at 9.5 wins. Big Ben's back, obviously. I'm a little torn here. I mean, I love Mike Tomlin, man. He's a great coach. There's his moments, of course, but man, I feel like it's still close to 9-17. I'm gonna go under here. Why should we?
No.
I'll go over 10-6.
There you go.
10-6. Yeah.
That's
I'm just unsure on Big Ben. He'll make it through the year again. That's the thing. He gets hurt on a regular basis. He's glass now at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely twilight of his career.
Yeah, that's the thing. Zack, what you got?
I don't care if it's the twilight of his career or not. Did you see what Pittsburgh's defense did the last 10 games of the season?
I did.
You have nothing at quarterback, and you finished 8-8. And when I say nothing, I mean literally nothing. A garbage can could have done just as much. And now you give me Big Ben for 12, 14 games. You figure he's going to get hurt and nicked up a little bit. And I think they compete with Baltimore. I think they finished second, barely, but they compete with Baltimore all season. Give me the over.
All right.
I think they do compete with Baltimore. I think they sneak one away from Baltimore, but this is an under. This is the year Cleveland surpasses them. Baltimore has already surpassed them, and they take that next step down. This is the year where they transition.
I had
from
right or under. I had an over, didn't I?
You better stay on over. I helped you out.
No. The thing is, I had Baltimore to under 11 wins. I had Cleveland over 8.5. Right? There's no way in hell Pittsburgh should be. You can't have three double-digit teams that win with that. Wow. You could, but it's I don't know.
Yeah, you could. It's possible.
You could, but it's one of those rarities that happens.
Yeah. It's happened in that division before. The AFC North has been strong for quite a while now.
Yeah.
I just feel like Pittsburgh's finally going to take that step down. Now, I think Mike Tomlin is probably at minimum top 4 coach in the league. I think he's that good.
I agree.
And that's why they're going to win like 7 games, but I don't see them winning more than 7 games. Like, this is the year.
Last year with nothing at quarterback. I mean,
yeah, but I just feel like
nothing. A 7-year-old could have played quarterback for the Steelers.
I don't see their defense taking that, like, keeping the same, like, fire again. Like, I just don't see it.
Oh yeah.
I know everyone thinks they're going to be big time, but
he doesn't want to sack anybody anymore. And Mika Fitzpatrick, why would he ever want to intercept another pass?
No, they have great players. I don't see them just putting it together. I think, like, Juju's out there. He's still a little iffy. Like, is he a real number 1? Like, at tight end, is Vance McDonald really the answer there? Is James Conner the real deal? Like, he's kind of flash in the pan-ish, kind of regressed last year. So is Big Ben going to stay healthy for the whole year? I just feel like this is the year to take one minor step back. 7-9, 8-8 could happen, but they're not winning 9 games now.
All right, next one up. The defending NFC champions, the San Francisco 49ers, last year finished the year at, I believe that was also 13-3. Yep, 13-3, right. This year, the over-under for them is at 10.5 wins. I've already set a record since the end of the Super Bowl that they'll take a step back. Now, how far back a step, I don't know. But I think they'll be at least 9 wins. They'll be a winning team this year, but probably mediocre. I'm gonna go under on 10.5 wins, probably close to 9-17, maybe even 10-6. But that's as far as I can see it going. Zack?
I'm with you. Thank God they did 10.5 and not 10, because I think this is a 10-win team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe Garoppolo is a top 15 quarterback. I don't believe they have a top 15 wide receiver core or a top 15 running back. But what they have is a great coach, one of the 5 best coaches in the NFL. And they have one of the best 5 defenses in the NFL. And they have one of the best 5 front offices. And so they know how to do what needs to be done. So I will take San Fran to still be a playoff team, but I'll take the under.
Yeah. Now, Garoppolo has a great year. This changes the course, obviously, but I don't see it happening. Go ahead, Kris.
What's a great year for him?
Easy over. They're going to have the best record in all of football.
Wow. Krizmanic with the fire.
They replaced all the players they lost with first-round draft picks. They're just going to reload. Kyle Shanahan can plug in any fucking person in any position, and they're going to go do great. But they still have great players, and all the guys who filled in last year and got experience for the starters are just going to strengthen that team so deep. All those positions, you just go down the line. So except for wide receiver, but Debo and Brandon Ayuk, who they just drafted, it's good enough. Like, talk about schemes, Kyle Shanahan with the route combinations, all that. He just makes it happen. The division's not strong enough. I feel like they're going to keep the Rams, and they're going to keep, Arizona down low. And the rest of the NFC, they're just better. They're just too balanced. Mm-hmm. They're too balanced. And Jimmy G's the real deal. Wow. I don't know why you guys disrespect him like that.
I don't hate the guy.
Because he's not the real deal.
Porn star Jimmy is top 15. For sure. Close to the top 10.
Why don't you try filling out your top 10? I bet you find out Jimmy G's not in your top 20.
I said borderline.
Okay, we got 4 teams to go, and we're over 2 hours now, which is insane, but we did this last time too.
We always go long.
I know. The Seattle Seahawks. Last year, 11-5. This year, the over/under is 9 wins. Of course, they have the GOAT, Russell Wilson. Thank you very much. I did say that. I hear a bong. This is an easy over for me. Russell Wilson alone gets you 8 to 10 wins. Alone. He's that great. He's top 2-3 quarterback in the league. I mean, that's not an argument, right? I mean, no one's saying anything different, right?
No.
So, there you go.
No, he's number 2.
Oh, there you go. So, I'm going to go over, obviously, at least 10 wins for this ball club. Zack.
Well, let's see. I just said he's the number 2 quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
It's a quarterback-driven league. You literally have one of the best defenses on paper now.
Mm-hmm.
You just brought in your next Legion of Boom. Yeah, I think I want to take 10 wins, 11 wins on the season. I'll take the over.
In fact,
call me crazy. I mean, it's a crazy thought that Seattle might win some football games with a bunch of talent.
And not only that, but 9 wins like a steal. Like, add it to a parlay, dude. I might parlay one too.
There's a reason why for that.
Kris, explain.
It's hard to say steal because of how good that conference is, or that division. when you start thinking that the Rams can win 8 games, and you think San Fran can win 9 or 10, trying to go 10, 11 wins, it gets kind of tough.
Yeah, but San Fran don't have Russell Wilson. The same. That's the equalizer.
But you
For the past few years,
over.
Seattle has been making a bunch of win now moves, and it's about to catch up to them. Not this year, because this is the year, but their depth, like trading up in the first round to take Rashad Penny, trading to get Jadeveon Clowney, trading 2 first-round draft picks for Jamal Adams. That's all going to catch up to them. You can already see their depth slowly just getting destroyed. Their wide receiver core is up the same, even though that monster of a man at wide receiver they got over there is the beast. But you can slowly see that their depth. DK Metcalf.
It's a fucking deal.
They don't have the depth. Talk about a team that is one hit away, like you think the Saints are. This team is so thin at all their positions that if they lose a couple guys here and there, don't get me wrong, Russell's keep them in the game. I have them over at 10-6 again.
Okay.
Or they were 11-5 last year. I have them at 10-6 this year. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be behind San Fran again. But there's a reason why they're. I wouldn't be surprised they went 9-7 but I think they go 10-6 just because of Russell. But they're very thin, and they're pushing all in for right now to hit this little window they have left. Because don't get me wrong, Pete Carroll's the oldest head coach in football, so their window is small.
Yeah, 11-5 also a yard away from 12-4.
But I definitely, I'm not as bullish as you guys are. Like, I don't think this is as much of a lock as you guys think. Like, they're not as deep as they once were.
I agree, but it's Russell.
I feel totally different on this team than you guys. I don't think that they have to worry about anything to do with salary cap moving forward because they're not paying any money to wide receivers. They're not paying money to running backs. What they've done is allocated money to their quarterback and to their defense. And when you
they've gone from a team that was built on homegrown talent that's slowly gone away from that because once you hit on all that homegrown talent, you start trying to mix in all these like win now guys. They've gotten to the point where it's like at its apex, like trading away for Jamal Adams, like the apex of the moves. I think that's what kind of the St. Louis did, or
for 3 years. He's been
in the
league 3 years.
What I'm saying is you're giving up so much depth that it's going to start hurting your team. You need depth in the National Football League, especially in a season where all these guys couldn't really train properly. You don't think there's going to be a rash of injuries everywhere because these guys are going to pop hammies left and right. Are you kidding me?
It's a fair point. Fair point. All right, let's get to
when you have a thin team like Seattle,
let's get to these last three.
If you're Seattle right now, do you need to draft a running back ever again in the first or second round when you have Russell Wilson? No.
They did with Rashad Penny. They traded up for him.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore, though. They understand what they have as a team. You just got DK Metcalf, the physical stud that he is. So you don't have to worry about drafting a number 1 wide receiver ever again in the Russell Wilson era. All you have to do is focus on offensive line and defense. Seattle is set up for another huge run over the next 5 years. With what they did in this draft, it is unbelievable what they can do. The bigger question when we talk Seattle is, is Jadeveon Clowney even going to play this year?
That's a good point.
He'll end up signing.
He'll be a last-minute signing. Might miss week 1 just because of getting ready. But
it'll just be incentive laden at this point. Like, just going to just load him with incentives. That way he could hit a big number regardless, but you're not going to guarantee him the big money he wants.
Is he going to – well, now, I mean, at this point, why would you sign to try and make opening day? You would probably sign to start week 8, week 9, so that
Yeah, I
you
agree.
still get a full season.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what happens with that guy?
We shall see. Next team up on the list. 3 to go. Here we go. Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year won 7-9 with Zack's favorite quarterback in the whole world, Jameis Winston, the quarterback. Of course, they upgraded to Tom Brady and a couple other pieces on that team. LaShawn McCoy is on the team now, too, especially. The over-under number, obviously, is 9.5 wins. So this team won 7-9 with the most one-season inconsistent quarterback in the history of football. One-season quarterback in Jameis Winston. Led the league in touchdowns and interceptions. Tom Brady comes into play. Tom Brady, even at age 42, is going to give you 2 more wins, right? Easily. I mean, this is what Vegas is showing here. I have to go over here. They got to win at least 10 games. You're giving Tom Brady, Mike Evans, and all these weapons, and LaShawn McCoy, who's a little older, obviously, but still has a little more thread in the tires. I mean, this is a barring injury. I don't see why they can at least get 10 wins. At least. Zach, am I wrong here?
Well, I mean, ask yourself. You already think the Saints are going to win 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
Then you figure Atlanta's going to be better than 500. And then you look back at last year for Tom Brady. He didn't beat a single top 5 defense. He didn't win a single football game when his offense scored less than 17 points. So can he really take Tampa Bay to the playoffs? Can he really win 10 games and get the over? Well, fuck yeah, he can, because he's got Mike Evans.
There you go. Love the setup.
When
It's
you
great.
have that kind of offensive weapons for Tampa Bay, Tom Brady can close his eyes, just throw a football down the middle of the football field, and Mike Evans is going to catch it. So you're going to win 10 games. If you win 7 with Jameis and you lost 3 because of all the interceptions in the fourth quarter, guess what that means? You're going to win 10 games. So Bill Belichick, I hope you're watching, because Tom Brady, he's going to the Super Bowl.
Stop. I ain't going that far.
The one thing I will say is, one of the most important positions for him is tight end. And they have 3 studs at tight end. That was Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate, and O.J. Howard, which eventually they're going to have to get rid of one of those guys. And I can't believe they didn't do it in the offseason.
Why?
But
Why
then,
do they have
but
to
then
get
you,
rid of one of them?
because you can't have that much of your salary cap dedicated to the tight end position.
Well, you're already paying them. You're already on the salary cap. You've got all these.
You can't have 3 guys getting paid that much, especially because you're paying Mike Evans and you're about to have to pay Chris Godwin. Like, you can't just have all your weapons making money because then your defense suffers, your offensive line suffers. Thankfully, they drafted Tristan Wirfs.
This year, you can have all those weapons and then have those offensive linemen that you draft and trade for. That's why
I want to go under here.
Tampa's going to the Super Bowl.
I want to go under here, but Todd Bowles is good enough as a defensive coordinator to get them, and I think they come in at exactly 10 wins. So I'm going to go over. But they're going 10-6. They're not going to be. I don't want to say they're not going to be better than that because they could have an amazing offense. But Bruce Arians likes to throw deep, and Tom Brady does not have the strongest arm at age 42 now. So I think they're a 10-6 team.
All right, 2 more teams to go here. Tennessee Titans last year made it to the AFC Championship game. Their record last year was, I believe, 9-7. Checking real quick. They were
9-7. Yeah.
Yep, that's a good guess. There you go. Their over number this year is at 8.5 wins. Of course, Ryan Tannehill is their quarterback. They re-signed Derrick Henry. I'll just go over. Solid team, built around the right way. They should be at least 9-7 next year. I don't know if it should be the playoffs. We'll see, but this should be at least a 9-win team next year. So I'll go over on this one. Zach.
So, I really want to be the contrarian. Like, I feel like the contrarian always wins. He's the one who's always right. And if Ryan Tannehill had just had the best year of his life, not season, but year, and went to the playoffs, do I really believe he's going to have another great year? No. This, again, is the worst division in the NFL. The winner of this division wins 9 games, and it's the Texans. So give me the under.
Wow.
This is easy over for me.
Okay.
I can see them easily winning 10 games.
Oh, yeah?
I don't think Tannehill misses a beat.
40 times for 200 yards every game. Give me a break.
No, but Tannehill is going to be solid. They still have they have great talent on the outside. A.J. Brown proves to be a baller.
No, they don't.
Oh,
Stop
yes.
Stop sniffing glue. They do not have great talent.
They have
Their
good
weapon
talent.
position.
They do.
Average. They have one good wide receiver, and that's it. They're tight end.
I think they have enough. I think Jonnu Smith will just pick up right where Delaney Walker left off. I think they have enough talent all around the team. Defensively, they're still a little iffy, but they're strong enough defending the run to where as long as they get out to these leads, they're going to be fine. And if not, Tannehill can still get them there. I think they're just solid. They're going to win 10, 11 games. Like, it's just a fact. And they're definitely going to feast on a really weak division.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. Final team here, of course. We always end every year with Zach's Washington Redskins. Last year, right now the over-under number right now is 5.5 wins. Does it say Redskins? Well, it does say Redskins actually on the thing technically on the Oddshark site, but it's Washington football team. Last year was a disaster for the football team when they were the Redskins. They were 3-13. Zach, you didn't have fun with that last year, of course. Again, over under 5.5 wins. This is easy. Take the under. Goodbye. Go home. Really,
I'll go first. That way Zach can have the last word.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Easy under. Now, granted, Ron Rivera will establish his style and demeanor on the team and start to build a winning culture there. But they ain't winning more than 5 games this year. That's a fact. They're probably going to win like 4. But, crazy thing, I feel like even if Alex Smith starts, I think he helps Dwayne Haskins, and Dwayne Haskins still could be the QB of the future. Because I don't think Washington's bad enough to get the top draft pick. But I think Dwayne Haskins will at some point prove that he's not that bad of a player. And there's hope.
Okay, Zach, the floor is yours.
All right. So this is going to be a little long. And I feel like I've earned it after 10 plus years, but.
Yeah, and you get married too, so go ahead.
So, as a Skins fan, I totally understand the outrage of having a nickname called the Redskins. I've tried my hardest to usually call the team by either Washington or the Skins. I try not to ever say Redskins, but I will do it. I am a fan who will always think of them as the Redskins. But I am absolutely thrilled they will be changing the name. I became a fan because I grew up an FSU Seminoles fan. And when I moved to Virginia at 7, I saw that logo. I was like, oh, that's where Seminoles players go when they graduate. So it sucks to be a Redskins fan and know that you are a Redskins fan. Like, you have to say that name when you say the team mascot. But I am happy they are changing the name. I hate the fact that Daniel Snyder is being forced to change the name, and he's kind of being forced right now to try and sell the team when he shouldn't. That name, up until recently, while offensive, was a winning name in the NFL. So, again, it carried something of pride, even though it was an offensive term. So that's what I'll say about the Redskins. As far as my team, we have a quarterback who, if he wouldn't get sacked and risk losing his leg, would take our team probably to the playoffs in this crappy division. But instead, we have a quarterback in Alex Smith who is going to start week 1 and probably lose his leg week 1.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Sacked in the first quarter.
Don't tell me that, buddy.
And from there on, we're going to start a kid in Dwayne Haskins who's god-awful. He was never meant to play in the NFL. He was never meant to be drafted in the NFL. He played in a run option offense, and even when he couldn't run, could still psych out defenses, but had no accuracy. The Redskins will be god-awful. They will be picking number 1 in the draft this year.
I knew it.
It will go Washington 1. It will go Cincinnati number 2. And probably Carolina number 3, even with Bridgewater. But that's my prediction. Alex Smith wins starting job and ends up in the hospital week 1. And then we prove once and again Dwayne Haskins is not meant to be a starting quarterback.
That's pretty wrong on the Alex Smith stuff, seriously. That's pretty wrong on that one.
Did you see his
Dwayne
leg?
Haskins is the reason why Joe Burrow went to LSU.
Alex Smith's leg?
That's a good point, actually, Kris.
He's that good that he beat out Joe Burrow at Ohio State. He beat out Joe Burrow at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
He beat out Joe Burrow at Ohio State. They both had gotten beaten out previously. He was a holdover from another quarterback. Joe Burrow tore up the SEC because they expect to run. That's what happened. Please don't think Dwayne Haskins beat out Joe Burrow and he's going to be good in the NFL, because he's not.
I saw flashes from Dwayne Haskins. He'll be a starter one day.
Yeah, he'll be a starter week 2 after Alex Smith has his leg amputated.
No, like a legitimate starting quarterback.
No. Dwayne Haskins will never start a game again in the NFL after this season, unless he's pressed into action. No one will ever sign him to be a starting quarterback, unless they're Cincinnati.
Well, as we end the podcast on a dark note. Jesus Christ.
It's not a dark note. It's the truth. What do you think is going to happen to Alex Smith's leg when he gets sacked
I'm gonna pray that he does. He makes it through the year. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna stay positive, unlike you.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'll stay positive. You better not win the starting competition then.
Anyway, fellas, we clocked in now at 2 hours and 29 minutes and 14 seconds. Another marathon. Every year we do this. It's great. I mean, we'll probably do it again in the NBA once they get their shit together with the season, how much games they're going to have next year. But anyway, Kris, Zack, as always, a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
And we'll talk soon. Later. Later. Later.